Okay, so this is yesterday's poll chat. Where are our lovely avatars? Oh, here we are. I've made them a little bit bigger. You can probably notice they're a bit bigger than they used to be. Reason for that is because we have also enlarged the sprites in the game too, in Raindrop Chronicles. So we've now got them at the size they actually are in the game as well. You get to see your cute characters even bigger on the screen. And in the background we have yesterday's poll. Results are in. The poll is officially closed now. It's been up for 24 hours and it seems like we got a clear winner anyway. Judging by this, we will be going for the options mode over game mode, so everything will be, you will be able to change it in the options menu. That's the plan. All the UI, if you don't like the mini maps, if you don't like all that extra quality of life stuff, you can simply turn it off to your liking. You can pick and choose what you want on and what you don't want on. So there we go. And I'm going to delete these now because I have taken a screenshot, so I've got the results. I have a screenshot of every single poll that we've ever done, so we've got proof of what won. Oh, now we're all empty again. Huzzah! Hi Robson, how you doing today? It's good to see you. Oh, you're having lasagna. I'm jealous. Gimme. There is not a few in that dock. That's true. Akira's gone all the way with these plans, and it's very useful. It helps a bunch. I'll be very interested in hearing feedback today from you lovely bunch of people and ideas. I've got some. I made some rough little notes myself that I'm going to refer to. We'll just have a chat about mechanics and skill mechanics and the sort of route we can take with Raindrop Chronicles with this. I'm going to just remind you before we begin that I have put up a tweet. Well, it was actually the Raindrop Chronicles account that I put the tweet up on, but it's about the Humble Bundle RPG Maker. There's a sale. I recommend you to all have a little look at that. It's very worth it because you can get 2 of the RPG Maker engines for just $1. They're old ones, obviously, MV is the latest one, but you can get MV2 if you look further down, but it's a little bit more expensive. It's one of the more expensive, but you get some really good offers with those as well. But there's only a few hours left now, so this is your last chance, and I'll just tell you all about that just so you know before the sale ends. Hi Zal, how are you doing today? And Asriel, it's good to see you all. I hope you're ready for a skills stream. Credits to other peeps who helped for this doc. Yeah, of course. We're all gonna have a bit of input, aren't we, Akira? Oh my god, I need Tingle Potty in a bit. It's this water. That's what it is. Okay, so I've got the docs all up. This is an old doc I made, just so you can see. Chat, this is what we did in stream 19 a very long time ago. Literally just put sort of skills that can exist in the game, some skill name ideas, item name ideas, but we won't be discussing items as much today. That will be for the future. And we were making a list of all the enemies of Everbloom Forest as well. I only got 4 out of the 7 on this list so far, but we won't be focusing on the enemies today. We'll have a stream this week where we do talk about the enemies though. But today it'll be more about the players, those first 3 classes that we're going to have. Though it could be a good idea to consider enemy skills because it'll be awesome to make them work with the early level player skills that we end up having. But we'll see. We'll sort that out probably after. But we've already kind of got 4 of them. But we've only really decided the toxic plant and the mushroom for now. We haven't really... We've kind of got the fly and the bee, but it's a bit rough around the edges. There's room for change there, perhaps. But we are going to focus more on the players today, so we'll have a look. Akira's doc is here, so I'll be having a peek at that later, well, in a bit. And I have also made a draw.io thingy-majig. I've listed the current confirmed classes of the game and the ones that aren't in the game quite yet, but might be. And I've put those there just so you guys know what's out there and what we can have, although we will be talking more about these 3 today. And what are chat saying? I want to catch up with chat. I think the cute flower should be a supportive enemy. There's a lot of ideas. We will definitely have a stream where we talk about the enemies for sure, but sometimes it can be a lot to discuss at once if we do both the players and the enemies. But yes, I do want to think about what sort of skills warrior, hunter and vampire could have, and we have kind of talked about them down here a little bit. We had some plans for hunter and warrior, but it's just ideas, but we'll refer to that again later. And oh yeah, this is a really cool website. I don't know if you guys have heard of this website. It's called tvtropes.org. I recommend looking at it because it's packed full of information. And it talks about this particular page talks about all the classes that exist in RPGs, and even just looking at this can help you come up with some potential ideas too. And it's really cool. I could spend absolutely hours on this website. Okay, so shall we start? Even though I need the bathroom, I'm going to because I don't want to go. I'm too hyped for this, but I might have to go eventually. Musting in the glory roads. Why, thank you, Storm Eagle. Okay, right, so one thing that I find super interesting, I was reading this page yesterday and I thought this is super cool. Basically, every single class in an RPG is kind of based around these primary archetypes, the fighter, mage and thief. Like somewhere a class falls into one of those. And looking at the three we've got so far, we've got the warrior, the hunter and the vampire. I'd say that they each could fall into one of those. Like obviously warrior is the fighter. Hunter, even though it's not a mage, it has a lot in common with the mage because it's ranged. It kind of is very strong from a range distance, but it's very weak up close, very squishy like the mage. And the thief, well, vampires are very mysterious kind of class because it's not traditional, is it? It's not as traditional as warrior and hunter. So we could kind of be as creative as possible with what vampire could offer, but it could definitely fall under not so much a thief kind of class, but a sort of rogue sort of class or a sort of scout class for sure. There's a lot where we could take it, but I had a few ideas for vampire which I'll just randomly mention in a bit. It's an interesting one. Vampires, warrior and hunter, they're more straightforward because RPGs generally always have warriors and hunters. They're usually always in every single RPG. Hi True Baldy, how you doing today? It's good to see you. You're having a good day. Fighter equals bravery, thief equals compassion, and mage equals wisdom. That's awesome, Elite. That's so good because those are our three moral things in Raindrop Chronicles. If you've been around, you might have noticed that in dialogue conversations based on what you say, you can either gain or lose bravery, wisdom, or compassion points. So that's really cool. I like that you've mentioned that, Elite. But yeah, so all these classes here, we've got them all here. I hope you can see them, guys. I mean, we might be a bit small on the small side for you to see these, but hopefully you can. All these probably fall into one of those three, and although they're not going to be identical, they're going to share those similarities to one of those three archetypes. Yeah, literally everything is here on this page, all the possible classes you can have. So Akira, this is a good one for you if you're ever thinking of like skills. If you're like, well, what does psychic have? Psychic is actually on here somewhere. Like there's literally all the possibilities. TV tropes is frigging awesome. But yeah, it talks about what tribe each of them are. The fighter's the mighty glacier, and if you're not sure what a mighty glacier is, basically a mighty glacier is someone who is very strong physically but quite slow. And I definitely think the warrior fits that. Some fighter archetypes might be more faster. But they might fall under the thief, because thief is known for the speed more, whereas fighter, pure physical strength. But yeah, the mighty glacier trope is all about being strong, but like your speed suffers from you have a lack of speed. You have the strength and the defense, but a lack of speed. And mage is a bit of a glass cannon, which I briefly mentioned earlier. Really lethal from a distance. Really strong attacks, but so squishy, you don't want them to get up close. And hunter, basically, well, it's not hunter, is it? Yeah, it is hunter. Hunter can also be ranger and archer, by the way. It's pretty much the same as ranger and archer. But yeah, hunter has the similarities with mage there. Although they're not magical, of course, they're physical. They use weapons like your bow and arrow. They do have a lot of similarities with the mage, so I do think they definitely fall in that archetype. So it would just be perfect to have the vampire class fall under this third archetype somewhere. So I like things like Rose the vampire could be. She's pretty squishy too. It makes sense for her to be super squishy, but she could be really fast. She uses her teeth as a weapon, so she doesn't actually have a weapon herself, she just uses her vampire teeth. And there's a lot of possibilities where we could take that sort of power. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of something called Drain. Drain it's sometimes in some RPGs, it's like a sort of self-healing capability where so that would be how she keeps herself alive. She's a selfish healer, in other words. She doesn't heal the rest of the party, but she heals herself with her drain ability. She can obviously take away enemies' health, but gain it herself, basically. And another possibility for vampire class, I thought, and also don't worry guys, I'm going to catch up with chat very soon because I really want to see your ideas, but I'm wondering how you feel about the sort of stuff I'm saying now as well. So I'm going to finish what I'm saying and then I'll catch up with chat and then we can make some notes. But another idea I had for vampire was like dots. So everybody I think knows what dots are. Basically damage over time, that stands for. Which she could like leave a bleed sort of thing on an enemy. Like with a certain attack she could bite an enemy and it could cause a bleed where over time they lose health. So she could be sort of dot sort of character there. And yeah, like and also anyone that falls into the thief sort of archetype could make a really good, just generally be good at being very quick with attacks, like successive attacks. I think like any sort of rogue can fall into that sort of category. So there's a lot of things and to consider, different types of skills, which we've got some notes of here as well. Buffs, debuffs are going to be things we'll have to consider, as well as just physical attack power. We don't have any healers or mages in our party right now, so we won't be considering magical stuff just yet, but some physical sort of skills will be cool to consider. And there's just a lot of general categories that skills could fall under. There's crowd control types of skills too, where you can or debuffs kind of slow enemies down or make them weaker, whereas crowd control ones like incapacitate them and make them paralysed or just stop them being able to attack us as a party for a certain amount of time. But I've rambled on now. I've got a lot more I want to say, but I'm going to catch up with chat first and see what you've been saying, guys. In the doc, we got the idea of blood magic, kind of like Vampire the Masquerade. That's super cool. And I'm going to have a look at what you've put, Akira. And the one idea I had with doing these skills is that you might know that we got a sort of skill tree mechanic. That's kind of the idea. And it won't be linear. Like we could have a lot of different branches and different types of vampires Rose could become, and same with the hunter and warrior. So it doesn't have to be like one linear vampire or warrior or whatever that they're going to become. There could be a number of branches, and us as the players can decide what build we want to go for with each of them. So I think that leaves a lot of room for us to be creative more, and us as a community can suggest ideas that aren't, we're not forced to suggest ideas that are too similar, you know what I mean? I can like think, oh yeah, that's cool, that can be one branch then. We don't have to like limit ourselves. So I like the idea of having a non-linear kind of skill tree because of that. Vampire idea, a baseline passive skill which gets upgrades as it levels up. Awesome. So what I'm going to do as well, because I know some of you are going to have a lot of idea suggestions today, like Storm's just given. I'm going to definitely get all these up on this doc, and we'll put up all our ideas, and that includes yours, Akira, as well in your doc. We'll get them all on here, and we'll discuss like how a skill tree could look and how we could like so how it would all work and order it all. And we're going to probably for sure consider those first skills more than the end game skills, of course, because we're only on episode 1, so we're not going to get too focused on end game skills for now, like how powerful these can become at the end. Will be more about how they are going to be at the start, and their generic kind of basic sort of specialism. We could like definitely get more specialised over time as we branch out. For example, a wizard could be very basic, because we have a sorcerer, so they could be pretty generic at the start, but then become like a sort of either a fire wizard or like a specialised in some way, and us as the player could get to pick what kind of sorcerer they'd be, and that'd work the same for the others as well. If you can send me the link, Rose, that would be helpful. Oh, which link for what, Akira? I'll send it you for sure. Mighty Glacier, like a tank, yes. And Warrior would definitely be a kind of, I see them as a tank or a DPS. Hunter I see as a DPS or a support, perhaps. And Vampire could be a DPS or support as well, but definitely not. Hunter and Vampire are definitely not tanks, but Warrior can be. And each of these, all of these classes here, will fall somewhere in the tank, DPS or support sort of category. That just like the fighter, the mage, and the thief, they'll all fall somewhere in that. Converts damage to healing. Yeah, that drain is just your standard vampire ability, which I think Rose has got to have for sure. You are really... What does tiny mean? Do you mean tiny? Is that a typo, True Baldy? We got drain on the idea dot, Rose, with 5 levels. Awesome, Akira, you're on the ball. I did have a little peek at your doc, just in general. I didn't look at vampires specifically, but I had a little browse of them all. We'll get your ideas on this little sheet for sure, Akira. For sure. And what I'll probably do is treat this similar to how we treated the dialogue trees. I might make a channel in Discord called Skills, like the skill channel, and I'll post this in there at the end of stream, and then you guys can suggest ideas off stream too, and that would be pretty cool, just because there's probably people here that might have ideas that might not be able to come to skill creation stream, so it'd be cool to make a Discord channel too. Drain is an awesome healing ability for physically weaker cats like the vamp. Yeah, exactly, Elite. Because Rose is going to be super squishy. she's got to rely on her speed and like sneakiness and that sort of thing. So I definitely think she should have that sort of thief rogue kind of archetype. Even though she's not a thief, she's based roughly on that sort of archetype. Because she definitely wouldn't fit the warrior. She's not like beefy enough for that, and she's a melee character, so she wouldn't fit the mage kind of archetype either. Yeah, right, add a voice channel to Discord. Maybe some people like to just join discussion in there while talking to each other. Of course, you don't need to be there as you're streaming. Oh yeah, I did delete the voice channels from Discord a while back, but because I personally wouldn't use them. But if you guys as a community want to use them and just talk about things, then that is fine by me. So if that is something you guys are interested in, I'll add that at some point. In some games there is 2 types of self-healing based on damage, physical, lifesteal, vamp ability. And don't worry guys, I am going to copy and paste everything you suggested. I know that I've got to go scroll back a bit in chat. So I'll be getting all those ideas and Akira's on his doc very shortly, but let's catch up with chat first. Would AoE work here? AoE is another thing to consider too. I mean, some classes will be AoE based, some will be single target based, some could be both. And maybe the AoE sort of skills would be like a more powerful version of what the single one could be that they can get later in the skill tree. There's a lot of possibilities. So many directions we could go on this sort of thing. You should have like an underground sort of people that live in mountains, hills or anywhere where they can hide from other species. Haven't been following the streams for very long, so don't know if this already exists or doesn't fit, but I think this kind of people could maybe help you or be a threat. You could have some of them travelling in the overworld disguised. It's funny that you mention people living underground, Kermit, because we were briefly discussing bringing a potential dwarf race into the game. We currently don't have dwarves in the game. We have 7 races and dwarves aren't one of them, but it was like roughly discussed that if dwarves existed, there'd be a sort of race people thought are extinct but are secretly living underground sort of thing. Because somebody came in stream yesterday and said, oh gosh, does this game have dwarves? So it kind of started the whole dwarf idea. Even though there's not any dwarf assets, we said we could simply just add beards on the child assets and then we've got dwarves basically. But yeah, if anybody has any ideas in general, just pop them in the Raindrop Chronicles ideas channel. But it's especially useful to post things in there if I miss things in chat, or because I'm sometimes likely to forget things. But it's also, like, I know some people have been posting ideas in there. Sometimes I don't like look at them straight away, but I take a mental note of them so I can refer to them at a later date. Because otherwise, lots of information could get like a lot overwhelming. The link for the website with the class you showed. Oh, so which one we've got? I can give you both. We've got fantasy character classes, and I've got fighter, mage and thief. Everything like is linked. It's like a big massive wiki. So if you click on these blue links, it'll lead you to a complete other page, and you could literally spend forever reading and reading. I do. I dread to think the hours I've wasted on this website. Oh, and thank you so much, Storm Eagle. I was just about to do it, but you've done it for Akira. I appreciate you. And yeah, I'm very behind with chat because catching up. You guys have lots of things to say, and that's freaking awesome. Makes me excited, but it also makes me very slow at replying. Okay, almost top 100. Yay! I redo the plan on the docs. You should find the class you want to check easier. Great, Akira. Well, we'll be having a little peek at yours very soon. I think single target skills should deal more damage than AoE. That's quite sensible as well, Storm Eagle, because otherwise AoE attacks could be really OP. Otherwise, stone people. Yeah, I would love to bring loads of different factions and that like that. And I think Raindrop Chronicles has the potential to have a lot of factions in it, and they will all. I mean, we're not going to meet them all in one go. The story's going to be, you know, a slow building story that will eventually explore the world and meet all these fantastic classes and races and factions. So it'll be super cool. Pretty sure Yanfly target selection lets you tag individual skills to hit multiple or single enemies and can split the damage. Yeah, and as long as RPG Maker makes these skills possible, we'll go ahead with it for sure. It's good to get all ideas written down, even if we don't know if RPG Maker is capable. Just so we have as many ideas as possible and we're not limiting ourselves. Okay. Oh gosh, Azriel, nearly got your 1,000. And you, Akira. You're nearly in the top 100 as well, Storm. Yay. Okay, guys, I've finally caught up with chat now. So we're going to get those ideas you all suggested into our little... if we have to make it bigger, we will, because there might not be much space on here. So as I says, we'll be focusing just on Warrior, Hunter and Vampire, so we don't overwhelm ourselves with too many, but at the same time I just put these there so you guys know what is coming in the future. And that'll be really exciting to do those two when they're finally coming in the game. So, right, let's look at Akira's thing then. So should we start with warrior, or which one should we start with, guys? Warrior's a simple one to start with, I believe. You will get it tomorrow, Elite. You excited to have your character? So, warrior and vampire together. So, yes, that makes sense because it's going to have the warrior's the tank, a bit DPS sometimes, depending on what build you want to go for. Because maybe some players will want their warrior to be pure DPS and pure physical strength. Some players might want their warrior to be more of a tank and soak up the damage, or even a debuffer. We can have many routes for our classes, just so we don't. Oh, I can see Akira typing. Just so we don't like limit ourselves. You know what I mean? Because it makes it more exciting to have multiple builds. And some classes might have more build options than others. So battle axes, which is perfect. Where axes are our warriors' weapons. And the spells War Cry and Anger, they sound awesome. So we can discuss what War Cry and Anger do as well. Isn't it 2 times more when a blood drop? Yes, that's right, Kung. If you're a sub, you get every 10 minutes you get 2 instead of 1 raindrop in chat. So you will get there twice as fast if you are a sub. My top's a bit see-through today. TY for the reminder. Warrior is a good one to start with. It's a class you can balance everything else against. Fantasia, thank you for the host. How are you doing, Fantasia? Yeah, and I think I gave the custom hero, warrior and hunter because they felt like the most traditional classes in a way. So it kind of made sense. One's melee, one's ranged. So they're very different from each other, and whatever your preference is out of the two is the one you can make your custom character be. I would have loved to have introduced a third potential class, but it would have been too many assets for the custom hero and it would have took a long time. It could have been very possible, but just to get the custom hero thing out quicker, I just did the hunter and warrior. Thank you, Binary, for the sub. 2 months. How are you doing? I appreciate that. Can we have some hype in chat for Binary, please? How are you doing today, Binary? It's good to see you. Okay, so and then we got vampire just above the warrior. Drain and the weapon's teeth. And you've included a bonus thing as well. Take 20% more fire damage. And that works. I can imagine vampires being weak to fire, and it's a really good thing to consider what a class's weaknesses are, because it just makes them a bit distinct from each other even more. And the bonus for warrior plus 20% physical resistance, which makes sense as well because they're a tank. And let's have a look at what you've put for hunter. I think, did you call it archer though, or is it called hunter in yours? Yeah, it's archer. So yeah, bows, crossbows, arrow rain, which is super cool because they do, those hunters, those archers, they do rain death from a distance. They're very lethal. Just, you don't want enemies to get close to them is all. Okay, so great. So another thing we did consider, I mean, this is all the classes, we did consider having a potential dual skill tray where it's not just a class but also considered race as well, which you've done here. So because the good thing about our plugin we're using for the skill tray is that it allows multiple skill trees, so we don't have to just be confined to the class of the playable character. We can also have a race, and because our party consists of a range of races, we have humans, we have demons with Legion, we have a fairy playable character, we also have an elf playable character, and I don't think vampire would be included as a race. No, it wouldn't be because it's an actual job, it's a class. So Rose would have human, because she's a human vampire, she'd also have human sort of skills that are based on the human race. So I like that we've considered this as well, because we can have like another special skill tree that adds a little bit even more to the characters. To gain 500 drops, you need a non-sub. Oh, you've actually counted it all, Storm Eagle. That's awesome. I mean, just look at Elite. He's a really good example. He's been in the stream for 3 weeks. Might be a bit more than that now, though. I think this is his 4th week in the stream, isn't it, Elite? And you've already basically made the 500 raindrops in your time here. Sierra says hi. Say hi back to Sierra. It's good to see Sierra. It's always good to see Sierra. 3 raindrops off. Oh, so we're going to get some more characters soon. We do have Fantasias and White characters to do. But I'm holding off a bit simply because White and Fantasia. I think Fantasia wants to be in the stream when we create their character, and White still has to send me some more info. But they're ready to start whenever. We need a defend command for when we get raided. Yeah. What would our defend command say? Would it just be a bunch of emotes, like our bat emotes, the angry ones? Maybe. I don't even think Rain Robot is a sub to the channel though, so they wouldn't be able to use the bat emotes, unfortunately. We just have to use standard emotes. I keep getting trampled to death. Okay. 7 months and 2 weeks binary. Okay, that is a good idea for a command though, for sure. Gunslinger for the win. Yeah, so let's get some ideas down then. Because we've got a complete empty sheet at the moment. So I've done. Akira's got some ideas. I've got some ideas, and what have I got for Warrior and Hunter at the moment? So it was just a real bunch of random ideas I had. There was a Berserk one. We decided to call it Flex on Dem Haters, which is a really weird, funny name. So a lot of debuff kind of things, like lowering accuracy, lowering enemy defense, taking damage for another character as well as a sort of cover, maybe. I know that in Final Fantasy VII there was a materia that was called cover, and that was where they could take damage from another character. Provoke and taunt, which I suppose works similar to a cover, except you're actually, yeah, it works differently. Stern look, yeah, that's, so yeah, there's a bunch of like protection, like absorbing damage skills for that, and also debuffs. And for Hunter, there's a debuff which was lower speed, sort of multiple hit attack as well, and that was a pretty interesting one. Getting like extra loot was something that could do that. And there's a pet thing for Hunter, which is an interesting thing, which we do have Beastmaster and Summoner as future classes, but they could work differently to Hunter. If they were to have animals in battle, it would be like different types of animals, and that could just be one particular build of Hunter as well. So we can always discuss that. No weirder than an FF6 attack called Bum Rush. Bum Rush, that's hilarious. There's a page with characters somewhere. Okay, guys, so should we start with what Akira's got then? Oh no, what have I done? There we go. So have you filled it in yet, Akira? I know you was in the middle of filling it in. So I don't want to interrupt if you're still doing it. We'll start with the classes before the races. We'll get the class ideas sorted first before we talk about the race ones. Okay, so we'll focus more. We know what the weapons are, and we'll have a time where we discuss things like HP and general stats, but for now we'll focus purely on skills. So you suggested Warcry and Anger for Warrior, and I really think those sound like typical Warrior skills, which are great. I'd love to know ideas for what those skills would be exactly. There's like a sort of berserk thing Warcry could be. Or is there something else that there could be? So all your ideas for warrior at the moment, guys, and then we'll move on to hunter shortly after, and then we'll talk about vampire. We'll have like a little 20-minute discussion or so, half-hour discussion on each of them. Perhaps we should do that. So yeah, we'll focus on warrior first, just simply because it's our first one that we've got, and we'll just write down some notes, some skill ideas for warrior, and then we'll think of a potential skill tree that we could have. Like, what would the first skill be for warrior that they automatically have when they're level 1, and what would they have when they're level, what would the second one be? And we can think of like a sort of, a bit like how we have done the dialogue trees. We can like get little boxes with arrows showing a potential, how what a potential skill tree design could be. And it'll be super cool then. It'll be super cool, and then it'll just be about making them work in RPG Maker, the ideas we've got, and see if they translate well into the game. But yeah, even if we think of more endgame skills, which is totally fine to consider the endgame skills for these 3 classes, but we're definitely going to focus more on early level skills, so we can get that early part of the skill tree done and complete for each of these. Is there a berserker class? If we look here, we have a berserker class, and I feel berserker works differently to warrior. Warrior definitely has more finesse than berserker. Knight, out of all the sort of fighter archetypes, I feel that Knight has that most elegance to them. They're the typical short sword and shield class, and they're very reliant on armour a lot. Whereas a berserker could literally be in just panties, if you get what I mean, and be all out, just a barbarian, in other words. If we have a little look at this, I think that somewhere this talks about how barbarian and berserker differ to warrior somewhere. I remember reading it last night. So there are differences, and TV tropes will cover what those differences are somewhere. On some page there will anyway. So although they'll definitely have similarities and they both fall under that fighter archetype, they will be a bit different, and we can make them different. But don't forget, berserker isn't confirmed yet. They're an unconfirmed class, but that doesn't mean they won't be in the game. It's whether anybody ever wants to be them when they fill out a character form. So you never know, they could be in it, they might not be. There's a class skills on the outline of the dot rows, you should check it out. You're on the base stats. Oh, there was more info, I missed it then. Here we go. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, you've done so much. Yeah, you know, like barbarians, you see them with their massive, what weapon do you think a barbarian or berserker would use if a warrior uses an axe and a knight uses a sword and shield? Because there's a club, maybe a club. A barbarian would use a club, would a berserker? I see something very like lacking elegance with a berserker, so they definitely have a really a weapon that lacks that elegance. A club was the first thing that came into my head because of that. Whereas warrior has an axe, so they kind of lack elegance, but not as much as the barbarian and berserker. They have absolutely no elegance. They just run. They're like a typical Leroy Jenkins, like even more than a warrior. Battle axe and mace. Yeah, well, axe is 100% confirmed for our warriors, so it'll definitely have to be another weapon for berserker. I think mace or club or anything like that could be ideal for sure. Most used in iconic movies, enrage itself and increase its own damage. You can't control your own character, but it has increased damage. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with our warrior, one of the branches, one of the builds, having berserker-like skills. But if we ever do introduce a berserker class again, we can have a very similar kind of skill tree that just differs slightly, I guess. Because it's nice to have a lot of freedom with the skill tree. Some people might think, no, I want a berserker type of warrior, or no, I want a one that isn't like that. I want one that mainly just soaks up damage and defends rather than is a bit all out attacker. And there's loads of different type of warriors, and we can look at RPG games that are already out there. For example, like we've got Auron as a sort of warrior character from Final Fantasy, and I think Steiner was one as well. Were there any other ones from Final Fantasy that fit the typical warrior archetype? So we can look at what sort of skills they had as well. Okay, so all the way down then for warrior. I could just use the search. Okay, so here we go. Ooh, there's a few then. Warcry, Anger, and Slashing Air. So Anger's the passive one, and actually that's really cool that you've considered active and passive, because passive is obviously when they forever have that skill. They don't have to actually use it. It's just there. It exists. They have it forever. And so once they unlock that on the skill tree, they will always have that increased damage output. And the further you go in the skill tree, your anger passive skill will get higher, more powerful, more effective over time as you get stronger and as you get through the game. So it starts off as 5%, I say, and that'll be what it is early on, and then as you get through the game, future episodes, you'll come across it again on the skill tree, but it'll just increase even more, something like that for sure. And Warcry and this one would be the actual active skills that you use in battle. We can have a peek at them in a sec. Auron was a warrior. Auron's awesome. From what I remember, because I actually got 100% on the sphere grid, it took forever, but from what I remember with Auron, he had a lot of he was a debuff warrior. He had a lot of armor breaking skills. He was very good at hitting those shelled enemies or anything with armor. So yeah, that's what I remember from Auron anyway. I'm sure he had other stuff as well. I love the name Anger in a warrior skill. Yeah, it's perfect for what that passive thing, what it does. So if we can make the names relevant to what the skills are, that'll be great. And that'll be awesome. And to be honest, some of your suggestions, Akira, are already great for names. Sometimes we might alter them slightly if anybody believes there could be an even cooler name suggestion, but what you've got here I think fits really well. Hey, Gunslinger and Half Demon is done if you are curious. Yeah, I'll have a peek at those as well. And because we're going to have race skill trees, Legion has a unique demon sort of, he'll have a unique demon skill tree there that will be super cool. Finally caught a stream again, yay. Hi there, Battle Sandwich, how are you doing today? It's so good to see you. We're working on player skills today. So Akira's already got some ideas for us that he's got in his Google Doc here, and we're gonna just make notes of those and get some ideas down, because I've made myself a little Draw.io doc, and probably at some point we'll get some little squares down and we'll start doing a little skill tree of each of them, because I'd love to do that this stream. Get a basic skill tree of Warrior, Hunter and Vampire, just early game skill tree, like what the very, very start of their skill trees could look like. And I'll have a read of these again, Akira, in a min. Right, exactly, he could inflict a lot of negative status, yeah, and it'll be super cool. Like this here, what you've got here for the warrior will be perfect build for one type of warrior, and then we can consider other skills that could sort of build other types of builds, because then all of you can make a unique warrior from each other. And some warriors will work really well against certain enemies, and others might be not very good. So, you know, be fun to see. It gets a little bit tactical then. Some bosses you might be able to kill super easy, and other warriors might struggle against certain bosses based on what build you've gone for. Hi folks, and hi Max Stardust, welcome to the stream. It's good to meet you. How are you doing today? I hope you've been doing well, Battle Sandwich. I hope you've had a good week. Nito will watch when I get a feel for stuff and see what you all come up with. Yeah, what I'm intending to do is at the end of the stream. I'm going to be making another channel here in Discord, because you know how we've got dialogue suggestions channel. I'm going to do the same with this. We're going to make a skill channel, and this little image here, I'll save it, get it popped in there, so you can all see and potentially suggest ideas off stream too. Because we might not finish it. Hopefully we do, but it'll be good to, like, even if it's an incomplete little thing that we've got here, I'm going to put in the Discord anyway. I'm alright, good to hear it. If you want to know more about our project, our game we're working on, Max, or anybody else who's lurking who's now, this is the command for that. Have a peek if you want to. Okay, so I'm going to read those again. Warcry. Shout at your opponent, deal plus 1% weapon damage, and next turn it will attack only you. So that would work as a card, if I'm correct. That would be a sort of provoke, taunt sort of ability. Am I right there? So it'd be like a shout. It like gets their attention. It's like works as a provoke for sure. I think did Tidus have a provoke in Final Fantasy X? Maybe he did. I think there was. And yes, slash and air. Send an air slash and hit 2 chosen enemies for 50% weapon damage. So this is basically their physical attack. So we've got one that's a passive that increases the damage. That's a buff. And we have one that actually works as sort of party protection skill. And then we've got one that is actually the physical attack. So, yeah, each of those skills are very different and could lead to different potential skills off each of them as well. So, and then we've got an elemental axe head. Oh, so that's pretty cool too. And I can imagine that sort of thing. Elements will come later, so like if they want to specialize, you can be like a fire warrior or a dark warrior or a light damage warrior, lower enemy armor, and that's the sort of thing Orin had, like that, like a debuff for where they lower the enemy's armor. And obviously that would only work against enemies that actually wear armor, right? Or enemies that have got hard shells. Your street shots look great. Thank you, Max. Thank you very much. We're actually going to be getting a website up and running in some point in November as well. We got a command for that. We got a starting soon screen up, and we'll get it up and running soon. All going well. Tidus had a provoke skill and a delay attack. Could just spam delay attack against some enemies and kill them all before they could act at high levels. Armor break, yeah, maybe it lowers enemy defense or removes a hardened state, or both, yeah. So for something like something like this, where it lowers the enemy armor, it wouldn't work against, say, these enemies at the Everbloom Forest, because they're very soft and squishy. They're all like plants and soft creatures basically, so it wouldn't be effective against something like that. But for another sort of dungeon later on in the game, it could be perfect. So that's what's going to be fun about this. There'll be different classes that are better in different dungeons than others, but you are limited to either the hunter or warrior at first. And some people might be inclined to go for hunter because I think hunter's going to be really good in the Everbloom Forest, but the second dungeon, the warrior, might be better because we have a cave coming up later, and there's going to be a lot of hard shelled enemies. Imagine rock enemies like Geodude from Pokemon. He'll be in the cave, somebody like that, and the warrior would be perfect against that kind of enemy. So the hunter might be absolutely useless in the cave because they wouldn't be very good against rocks. Their arrows on their bow and arrow wouldn't really work well. So yeah, and same for Rose. Like, as a vampire, she relies on blood. She's not going to be very good against rock enemies, is she? but the warrior would be perfect. So although he's not going to maybe be amazing in the Everbloom Forest or reach his full potential in the Everbloom Forest, he will in the cave. So, you know, each class is definitely going to have their strengths in certain dungeons, and some will be useless. And that's why I'm very glad we have a non-limited playable character system. We're going to potentially have over 30 classes in our game, and we'll have like a party sort of where you choose who you want in your party. As long as they're available in the story at the time, they can join the party at any time, basically. Obviously, if they've gone off and done their own adventures, which sometimes they might, because some characters might split away from us temporarily, they won't be available in the party then. But yeah, you basically have the choice of which classes you want to have eventually, that is. Because in episode 1, we'll probably have only met a few. You know, we won't have encountered many of the classes in episode 1. But mid-game and end-game, oh my goodness, there'll be loads, I bet. Geo guy, yeah. I have had a permanent mental image for taunts of a super beefy barbarian yelling, "Hey, boys, you want to see these milkshakes? Why flexing them?" Oh my goodness, that's funny. And I don't mind adding a bit of humour in the game, because this game is very silly and bonkers. So, I mean, we've got Carol the Barrel. So if we want to be a bit silly with some of our skills and things that we say in battle sometimes, that is totally fine. Makes me happy that someone got a laugh out of that. I kind of like the idea of classes being even literally almost useless in certain groups to force party swapping. Yeah, and exactly, like vampire, and he's going to be terrible in a cave full of I just only realised that. So yeah, we might still have Rose with us at that point, or she might have gone off and done her own thing. We don't actually know, because we haven't got to that point in the story yet. But if she is in the party when we go in the cave, she probably won't be very good. But it'll be interesting, because maybe that will be a good point for the player to learn that classes can be useless. Maybe it'll be a little subtle tutorial. And I'm not a fan of tutorials. We're not going to have any in Raindrop Chronicles, because I believe with good design, if it's intuitive enough, you don't need them. So sorry about sending the hands robots cake and needles. It was an accidental pocket send. What's that, Kung? I like, yeah. Be cool for variety. Yeah, there's going to be tons of variety. Like all these, they're so different from each other. Even though they all fall under this archetype some way or another, they're still very, very different. And some of them, I mean, where are we? Some of them might be like hybrids, if you get what I mean. Like have a bit of fighter and mage in them, or a bit of mage and thief. So that'll be cool too. We've all heard that before. AFK, okay, Akira, sure. Hopefully when we're back we can have some of your skills listed here. Okay, for all of me. I've lost the conversation. What about robots and needles? What have you guys been talking about? I missed it. I've lost the plot. Okay, guys, so we're going to start with warrior, and then we're going to move on to hunter, and then we're going to move on to vampire after. We'll do it all in order. So we got Akira's already had some good ideas, and he's noted them down here in this Google Doc. So we're literally going to note these down right now on my page. So how are we going to simplify this? What I'm going to do is I'm going to just take level 1 ones for now that Akira's got, and I'm going to just make a little note on our thing that it's going to, they will be, the ability will get stronger over time, and there's different levels of it. I'll note that, and I'll put in brackets refer to Akira's doc in the ideas channel of Raindrop Chronicles if people want to have another little peek, if they want to read more. Okay, so so yeah, active and passive, that's a cool thing to consider, that some skills are going to be active and some are going to be passive. So if I copy and paste this, yeah, it's there. And what font am I using? Let me remind myself. Tahoma 24. Okay. Yeah, because I think I prefer Tahoma to Helvetica. I think it looks a bit prettier as a font. Okay, so this is probably going to look a bit messy at first. I mean, I'm just going to get everything all written down in here. We're not going to worry about making it pretty at this stage. We'll just get the info in. And then I'll make another page and we'll do the skill tree on there. Or just like a very early example of the skill tree anyway. Let's get the description in. Sometimes this Draw.io thing can be a bit temperamental and it can play up sometimes, but I do really like it. It's a really good website. Okay, so oh no, I thought it would keep the same font, but it hasn't. Oh well. Thank you, Dave, for the host. I appreciate you. I hope you're having an awesome day, Dave. Hope your morning is treating you well. Maybe give one character a unique taunt skill somewhere down the line called milkshakes. Yeah, and you know, each of these classes will, you know, they might also have a taunt. It might not just be the warrior that has the taunt. Any of these could have their own unique taunt to them, and it'll just have a different name and stuff, and fit with their sort of class. So you know, it has the same. I can't think right now who would have one, but I imagine Paladin could. Maybe any of the tank type of characters. So yeah, we should. I'll definitely be taking name suggestions. Sometimes we're gonna just keep the name that we've already thought of, but sometimes we might come a bit stuck and we might be like, what should we call this one? We don't know any names, and then I might ask you guys for some name suggestions. Okay. So should we make this text a bit smaller so it fits? Can you see it though? Because I want you to be able to see it on stream. Why is it like that when I don't click it, and like that when I do click it? Because I made the box big enough. That is quite interesting. Is there a setting somewhere? It's left aligned. You know what I'm going to do? Just for time reasons, I'm going to actually do the skill tree right now. And we'll just put them all in boxes. That's what we'll do. Because I feel like we might as well. We might as well just go straight to the skill tree. So I'm actually going to do it all on this one page rather than making a new one. We'll just make it a bit bigger if necessary, because we can, which is fine. Just keep things a bit tidier if we have it all on one page. So let's get warrior and big text first of all. And where's the text? Where's the text? Oh, here it is. And then we'll get Akira's skills and the rest of our skill ideas popped into the boxes, and then we can organise them for how they could work as skill trees. So we'll chat about how it could work. Just as long as you're not putting them in a corner. It's legible for me. Yeah, meant to say that. Yeah, Raindrop Chronicles certainly can have that sort of comedy. I mean, just to show you something we thought of. Let's where are we? Where's our? Yeah. We thought of calling a berserk skill flex on dem haters, so there you go. You know. Alan, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. Welcome. It's good to meet you. So we can have super big text now, just so people know this is our warrior skill tree. And we're going to make it tidier after, but let's make this bigger because this isn't a lot of room for now. Yeah, we'll just put it anywhere for now, these boxing skill trees, and we'll tidy it up later. Let's get the info in first. So, what colour should we... We'll colour code them. What colour would warrior be? What colour would vampire be? And what colour would hunter be? Hunter green, vampire red for blood. And what would warrior be? Blue? Blue, green and red. They're good distinct colours from each other. So let's do that. Dark blue. Yeah, I got it right. Hi Andy Kate, how are you doing? It's good to see you. You still trying to escape from bed, Dev? Oh no, you're going to get some coffee? Get some coffee. So I don't know if dark blue is going to show up well on this grey background. So I'm just going to... I'll probably have a medium... We'll add that blue. Is it... Dark might not go well with the grey. And I don't want you guys to have... your eyes to bleed from too much light mode, so I'm trying to break it up a bit with a grey background. So we'll make the box blue too. We'll use slightly biggish text here. Okay, should we have white text? White text might look good in this blue box. So, oh gosh, why are these little text things appearing? Right, so what we're going to do, we're going to talk about Warrior for a bit. What's the time now? It's 4 p.m, being streamed for about an hour. We've got another 2 hours of stream, so we'll have half an hour for Warrior skill tree, half an hour for Hunter skill tree, and half an hour for Vampire skill tree, and then the last half hour we can just tidy things up a bit and have a look at them all and reflect. And then I'll get what we've done put in the Discord in a new channel, and you guys between now and tomorrow's stream feel free to make some suggestions, but we'll basically expand from what we've done today in tomorrow's stream, but we might do something else. If we finished what we need to do, we'll move on to enemies tomorrow. But if we haven't, if we end up not doing hardly anything, we'll just carry on with this. It all depends on how we do. I don't want to force over silly things though, so don't feel I'm desperate to get it in, if that makes sense. It's okay if it ends up not fitting anywhere. Well, yeah, I mean, Raindrop Chronicles is going to be a mixture of sort of tones, if you get what I mean. We're going to have serious dark themes, and we're also going to have very light comedy as well, because as a community game it's going to be like, I think the time is kitchen sink. If you look on TV tropes, it talks about that more, but it's like basically literal combination of everything, genres and tone, and you know, it's going to be that kind of RPG for sure. And it's going to be absolutely bonkers, but it's going to be great. And it's my job to make sure it all works well as a story and isn't convoluted, and it's got to make sense. So, because otherwise you guys will get bored of it if it doesn't make sense. But it can be bonkers for sure. Though it does make me wonder, is it possible to do a 5% chance on a skill to use to trigger a unique dialogue, such as a flex on them haters or milkshake? Yeah, and I think that's quite interesting. I'm not 100% sure if RPG Maker would allow that, but if it does, that could like be appealing to people, and I suppose make the idea of using skills exciting in case they trigger that dialogue. So I'm totally up for just making this a really fun game as much as possible, and that does sound like it would. The idea of having secret things, like a unique percentage, like a very small percentage chance of triggering something, I think is very appealing to people, because it makes them want to keep doing it until they do trigger it. So I'm going to look into that battle sandwich. I'm going to actually put a little note. I'm going to put battle sandwich said it so I remember. So much. How long are you going to be on, Braz? I'm only on for another 2 hours around about, Sandy Cake. Though it's generally appreciated with the grey background stuff. Yeah, it's better on the eyes. Because, I mean, unfortunately, with Google Docs, we don't have much freedom. I don't think there's a dark theme. And I know that there's, like, sort of extensions maybe that can do that, and I've tried to download one once for Google, but it really messed everything up. It made like it was a really, I think they need a proper doc theme on Google Docs. Everything but the kitchen sink along those lines. Yay, ideas. And yeah, TV tropes, guys, this has really helped a lot for me, by just reminding me. I mean, I've played a lot of Final Fantasy and sort of games like that, so I'm quite knowledgeable about how different classes work, but sometimes you need refreshing, don't you? And this page was really fun to just read and to remind myself what each of the different classes do. So I recommend this with all my heart. Take a look at it, guys. tvtropes.org, and who knows, maybe it'll inspire some ideas for you all. I'll put that link in chat. Okay, so where were we? Let's get yours in first, Akira for Warrior. So, Warcry, active. What I'm actually going to do, instead of copying and pasting it, I'm going to write it down manually because it messes up all the fonts. But that way, if I don't copy and paste, it's better for me because I'm actually understanding the skills then, and what I'm not just mindlessly copying and pasting. So it'll help me as well. So Warcry. Shout at your opponent, plus deal 1% of damage, and next turn it will attack only you. And I will only do the level 1 ones for now because that's what's going to be the start of the skill trees. These level 2 to 5s will be later on in the skill trees. And we're only going to really focus on early game stuff right now. But it's really cool, and I think it's a really good concept to have skills that get stronger, for sure. Because it just makes them, because you know, if you get without that, when you get to end game, those skills will become useless then. So it's always really cool to know that they can upgrade and keep their relevance and importance throughout the game. I want to be a knight. Guess what? Andy Cake special stream cannon stolen the knight. He's our knight. We've got, if you're curious, we have all our classes here. These are the unconfirmed classes, guys. So these are the ones that are still up for grabs, and the confirmed ones are the ones that have been taken. So and that includes knight. Swedish beard is sorcerer. I'm actually gonna just do this now. Put who is who, so people know who the community is. What? So special stream. And the good thing is, I mean, I'm always up for suggestions for extra classes. You know, if you want to suggest others, knight can fall into a lot of categories. You can also have a dark knight. You can have a warden. You can have a samurai. You can have, you know, there's loads of tanky knight classes that don't have to be knight but could be very similar to it, and I don't mind adding those to our character sheets, our character forms, if you guys want to be something in particular. Because I originally never had druid at first and somebody said in chat that they wanted to be a druid, and I was like, oh yeah, I haven't added that yet, and I added it for them, and now that they are a druid. So right, how do we spell Akira's name again? SCP, there we go, SCP-666 Akira. I think that's correct. Our herbalist is Finchfish, and our diplomat is Jerez. Oh my goodness, David, you have got over the 500. How dare he? I don't know what that means, but our Curious Before Bed can look up the rabbit hole on TV tropes. Yeah, for sure. Read it. It's such a fascinating website. I'll learn so much stuff. I feel like it would be good if we just add main classes and the other are specialisation, like Hunter to Gunslinger. Hang on, I'm trying to understand what you mean, Akira. So 3 to 6 main classes, and everything else is a sub or prestige class. Yeah, I'm trying to understand. I want to make sure I understand because I'm actually confused. Give me an S, please. Hi, Mark. Welcome to the stream. What's an S? I only know the letter S. Oh my goodness, I'm hungry. I might need to get some almond milk in a bit. It's my new thing. So, my main classes and others are specialisation. I will expand on that just so I get it. I'm a slow one sometimes. Thoughts on coding boot camps for someone in their 20s with no prior experience? Hi Richie, welcome to the stream. Could anyone help Richie with that question? He tried to do Raindrop and nothing happened. Oh really? Maybe it didn't happen because a lot of people have been using the command. Sometimes it needs time to cool down. So try again in a bit and maybe it'll work. But I'm actually not sure about the answer to that question, Richie, because I'm no pro coder myself. But somebody in chat might be able to help you maybe. No, just forgot the S. Oh, okay, I guess it. I get that though. I get that. I missed seeing the raindrop, him use the raindrops. Think like Arcanist in 14 rows. They can specialise into Summoner or Scholar. Oh, okay, so you mean specialised sort of classes, like they can eventually turn into that? Is that what you mean? Because the thing is, I want to be careful because we're very early on in Raindrop Chronicles, okay? There's going to be many people who eventually get 500 raindrops in this stream, and I want there to be plenty of classes available for them if they choose to be a playable character. And this is why I want to keep as many as possible so people have a lot of choice. Because if we use these that we've got here for ones that already exist, then we kind of walling it up for future people who are playable characters. They won't have any choice then with future classes, and that would be sad. Like if in another 6 months or a year there's literally no playable classes left for them. So I think it's a good idea to keep all these possibilities open for future people who become a community member here. Dakara, welcome back to the stream. How are you doing? But if I'm wrong, let me know, because if that's what you meant, that these unconfirmed classes can be part of what the confirmed ones are, that's what I figured you might have meant. But I'm not 100% sure. I might be wrong. Check out some of the online resources first. Awesome, Richie. Good luck. You can do it. I believe in you. For example, when you're a hunter with this class, you have access to a subclass like Gunslinger, Thief or Assassin. Oh, okay. So you're saying that Hunter could become what Legion is, and you wouldn't mind that? Somebody stealing Legion's Gunslinger from him. But it's cool to open up other classes, perhaps. I do agree that that's cool. But we could do that for sure, but at the same time I wouldn't want to close it off as long as we've still got these classes open for other people that are characters in the game in the future. Yeah, they'll want to play the class right away. Having individual characters each have multiple subclasses specialisation will multiply the work needed for the classes. You think that could make it a bit complex, Battle Sandwich? Could be going a bit complex maybe. Miguel, thank you for the follow. It's lovely to meet you. Maybe it's more like each of them has a tag, so you can start every class at level 1, but each is tagged as warrior, thief or mage superclass. I do like that idea. It's a fun mechanic, but it's just so much effort when you have a ton of unique characters. Yeah, I think one thing I really like about this, and I don't know if you guys agree with me here, but I think it's exciting to think... Oh, I've spelled Berserker wrong. I think it's exciting to know there's all these unconfirmed classes that aren't yet used but potentially could be introduced, because it just really gives them that sort of unique... It's like in episode 4, for example, we could have an occultist join the party, and that would be super exciting if we currently have never seen the occultist class before. But if we already have a cultist in one of those, then it kind of defeats the excitement of meeting that occultist for the first time. That's kind of how I feel about it, if you get what I mean. I'm doing fine, just came home from work and now I'm enjoying your stream. Good, that's awesome. Thank you for stopping by. Aren't you planning on using a skill point system to unlock new abilities and the like? Yeah, it's going to be a skill tree. And basically my idea was for it not to be linear. We will have different builds. For example, warrior, we could have a warrior that's very much a physical strength build that attacks, a bit like sort of barbarian or berserker, or we could have a warrior that absorbs damage and is more of a protector, a defender, or we could have a warrior that focuses more on debuffing and like armor breaking and all that. So that's 3 warrior builds just there. And I feel that if we think enough, if we use our brains a bit, all these classes listed here can all have unique builds, you know, somehow. So really just those 3 branches of warrior could be deep enough for the warrior character, if you know what I mean. We don't necessarily have to turn them into other classes. So I just think it's exciting to yeah, I don't know, that's just me, because we do have like a potential lot of things to introduce in the future. Blah blah blah. I don't mind having hero and legion being gunslinger. You might even add extra dialogue between hero and legion, shared knowledge, like sharing skills. It's an interesting thing to consider, but it kind of does take away legion's uniqueness at the same time, if you get what I mean, because then you have to realise that once the hero is a gunslinger, he can use guns. And it kind of was fun, in my opinion, having a character unique. Legion's the only one that uses guns ever in the whole game. Nobody else does. And same with Rose. Nobody else uses teeth as a vampire. And nobody else, or you be a diplomat, only Rose's character will. And it just makes them so unique and adds to that characterisation. And as soon as others can use the same weapons and become that skill, it kind of takes away that uniqueness. And it's not saying that it's a bad idea, because it could work really well, and it could add a new spin on the game that's really fun. And it makes it a little bit more complicated as a skill tree and more interesting, but at the same time the characterization could lack from it, the uniqueness. Then you could in theory just branch a tree so that different portions are unique, essentially specializations in themselves that kind of fulfill what you're talking about. And guys, if you want to expand on this discussion in this particular channel, Raindrop Chronicles Ideas, feel free to mention a few points and talk about what's on your mind. And because sometimes, like, you know, with stream discussions, sometimes it ends eventually, but you might want to expand, and that's fine. You can talk about your ideas, but at the same time, we don't want to lose the vision as well, because we can't do everything in Raindrop Chronicles. We can't like do absolutely everything, because it'll just become impossible then. So we do have to like stick to a decision and go with that. I'm enjoying it. Hi Romance Princess, welcome to the stream. It's good to meet you. How are you doing? We're going to stick with the Legion only. Do you know what I mean? No, like, it's true that once somebody can be a gunslinger, they will have the guns like Legion, and it will take away that what makes him special. And I do see a point. I do think in some games it could work well, and making the skill tree more complex is always a win-win, adding specializations. But because we're always going to offer them anyway in the future with other characters, we're not going to lose anyway, because they are going to come into the game. And I have an idea anyway. Say if like some of these unconfirmed ones aren't being taken, and they don't seem to nobody seems to want to be them. We could potentially always add a sort of NPC that joins the party temporarily, or maybe they could join forever, who could be these classes. There's always that option too, if we feel like, oh, it would be really cool to have a necromancer in Raindrop Chronicles. So nobody wants to be the necromancer. But I honestly believe with all my heart that these classes will get taken in the end. It's not going to happen in a month or even 6 months, but this is a long-term project, guys. Like, no lie, this is a very long-term thing that could be going on for the next 4 or 5 years, with what I do on Twitch. So even, like I said, I have to start working if I have a full-time job and have to change my stream hours. That's fine. I'll still be working on Raindrop Chronicles when I get home from work, etc. That's not going to stop. It's a long-term project, and just think of all the community members that are going to meet those 500 raindrops over those months and years. There's going to be a lot. There's going to be we've only got 15 of us so far, but just think of how many could be in the game by the end. It's a lot, and these will get taken. We'll probably have to start thinking of more than likely, because they'll all run out eventually. I think the idea of vocal channel on Discord should be great, like messing table where we can rumble anything. Yeah, having the written record of ideas is a useful thing, no, but why not? 2 says we can't write what we sound vocal. What do you think we should do? Do you think we should, this Raindrop Chronicles ideas channel here, do you think we should change that to another name? To something like Akira suggests, so it sounds more like a vocal channel. What do you think could be the perfect name for it, guys? Messing table, vocal channels. Feel free to suggest names and I can rename it to that if you think. And someone suggested a voice channel as well, and I might even add a voice channel, and I'm not going to probably go in there because the only time I go on voice is on stream. So I talk about what I want on stream, but if you guys ever want to go in there and discuss things on voice, I will do a voice channel if anyone's ever up for that. But some people might prefer just writing up things and ideas. Some people get shy about talking on voice, which I can totally get to. But yeah, just feel free to talk about things. Oh, I'm reading it now. Maybe even make the first unlockable skill of each branch an actual title, archetypes or flavours, like Raider, War Chief, Despoiler. Obviously getting more powerful towards the bottom. Yeah, that's a good idea. Above was referring to Barbarian, or was it Warrior class that was on stream at the time for context? Yeah, I think what you say, Battling Sandwich, is a good idea because it allows us to specialise with exactly what Akira was saying, but within that specific class, if you know what I mean. And we're not stealing from new classes, the ones here. We're doing specific ones for Warrior. And it makes, because that way we can get really creative with this. There's so many, and if you even look at these pages here, look how many ideas for potential names and branches that just Warrior alone. And even Paladin, you got Dark Paladin, you can have Holy Paladin, just off the top of my head. There's just, we can get really creative. Even if something doesn't exist, right, we can make it exist. So I think if that's what you're trying to say, Battling Sandwich, that's a good idea, because specialising is cool. I think we can all agree on that. We want our skill tree to eventually get specialised, and we want choice, we want builds, but within that class only. So for example, Gunslinger with Akira, we can have a few different types of Gunslinger routes for Akira. If we think we can, I'm sure we can come up with some different types of Gunslingers that are unique from each other. We don't necessarily have to think, okay, let's add a Gambler to Gunslinger's tree, you know what I mean? We can think of something that's more relevant to Gunslinger, and then we can keep these unconfirmed classes for future playable characters of people that join the community and get to 500 raindrops. And obviously not all of them are going to want to be playable characters. Some peeps are going to be want to be antagonists and allies and NPCs, and that's totally fine too. But these were over time, just in the next 12 months alone, I can imagine a few of these getting taken. And like we said, this is a long-term project, guys. Somebody asked me off stream the other day when I was intending to finish Raindrop Chronicles, and my answer was 2025. Basically, next 5 years we're going to be doing this potentially, and I think that's why it was a very important decision to make the game episodic with its releases, because nobody is going to want to wait till 2025 for a full game. It's a long time to wait for something playable, and we don't have that patience, do we? We want to play it now. So that's why saying episode 1, like realistically, an episode can come out between 6 months to a year, on average, perhaps. So if we consider that as a sort of time estimate for each episode, and then eventually by the end we'll have several episodes that we can be proud of. And yeah, there'll be a ton. In episode 1 and 2, we're probably only gonna meet a quarter of these classes that are all here. By mid-game, a few more, and then by end-game, we might meet some more. And I think this is what we also need to consider, things like how the leveling system's going to work, because if, say, somebody like Puppet Master, for example, I've just picked that randomly. It's an unconfirmed class at the moment, but say in another couple of years somebody reaches the 500 raindrops and they want to be a Puppet Master, but they don't come to the game until the last episode of their character doesn't get introduced till the final episode. Then what level would they be? Because we're all going to be like level 50, 60 by that point. Would the Puppet Master be level 62? Or would you be level 1 and start from the beginning? So there's things like that to consider, considering some playable characters you're not going to meet potentially till a very long time. But then the question is, will we even have a leveling system? Are we even going to have levels? Because some RPG Maker games, I think there is a plugin to disable levels and not have them. But I don't want to confirm that yet, because we haven't really talked about how that's going to work yet. But no matter what, there has to be some form of progression, obviously, because in a traditional RPG, leveling is the standard progression system, isn't it? And we are going to have progression with the skill trees, obviously. Oh my goodness, I need to get some milk. And Cheese, how are you doing? It's good to see you. I've been rambling on as always. Hope you're having a good day, Cheese. We keep the Raindrop Chronicles ideas, but we can add a vocal channel for it. Oh, you mean do you actually mean a voice one, or just a written channel where it's a little bit different? I just want to make sure I'm on the right track. My goodness, you got over 100 raindrops, Cheese. Having levels exist, but not increase stats in any way. Just give you skill points each level up instead. Could be an idea. Yeah, I think we have to somehow make it different to a traditional RPG, simply because of the nature of the class system we have, and the fact that we're not going to meet some of these classes until endgame. Nobody's going to want to have a Puppet Master join us in episode 5 level 1 when everybody else is level 60, because they'd be super weak and die. So we have to kind of think. I suppose the straightforward thing to think is that they'll be level 62, but their skill tree will obviously be incomplete and it wouldn't be done yet, but they'd still be level 60 with their actual level. I guess that's the straightforward thing I can think of. But as what you say about a sandwich off, I'm copied and pasted it and popped it there so I can read it off stream. Doing good, just working on a game project in the Go programming language. Awesome, that's super cool, Cheese. Need it to burp. That's awesome. Let us know what your project is, and if you want to if you want to share it with us, put it on the Creative Work channel for sure. Oh yeah, so we've been talking along, we haven't even done the skill tree for Warrior yet, so it's likely that tomorrow's stream we will continue with this, because I think it is a little bit ambitious of myself to think that, oh gosh, why are all these arrows coming off here? Let's delete them. I think it was a little ambitious of myself to think we could do 3 skill trees in one stream for our 3 classes so far. But we'll just take it at leisurely pace and see how we do, and whatever we don't do, we'll continue tomorrow. Kind of because we keep distracting you, yeah. Well, like we say, these streams are full of discussion, and that's what makes them fun, right? All the talk and all the discussion of ideas. Burptastic. I think I'm allergic to stream and OBS. It makes me burp. Okie doke, so let's go back on Akira's dock. Warcry. And this is going to have levels. It's going to have 5 different levels, but only level 1 at the start of the skill tree, or near the start of the skill tree. Shout at your opponent. Actually, I am gonna copy and paste this. I know I said I wouldn't, but I am. It's a pity that the fonts don't. Okay, well, we're going to make that font smaller of the description, because it's a bit much otherwise. But we'll make the title font a bit bigger. Why is the gapping weird? I don't know about you, chat, but I get really bothered by that. When the bottom line is more the gap than the rest of it. Let's have a peek. I'm not very good at understanding draw.io yet, so I'm not sure how to edit the spacing. I see line height there, but that didn't do anything. I have free specialisation for Gunslinger, tactical, low damage but high fire rate, western, middle damage and fire rate, and sniper. Exactly, Akira, that's perfect. See what I mean? If we think hard enough, we can think of specialisations for Gunslinger alone. And we'll be able to do the same for all the others. And sometimes we might need to rack our brains a bit, and we might not think straight away, and that's fine. We don't have to think immediately, but we can do it. And you've thought of it already, so there we go. We can specialise them all. And vampire's a little bit hard to think of because that's such a unique, non-traditional sort of class. But we can think of 3 different types of vampires as well. Oh no, how do we do this? Does anyone know draw.io? Because I ain't leaving it like that. Not yet. Need to sort out the stream setup first. Hope to get mic cam next week. Yeah, cheese. Let us know. And when you do stream, pop it in the Creative Work channel. Pop your link in there for us. It's my first attempt at coding my own game from scratch. It's just a simple scrolling space shooter for learning. Oh, that sounds fun. Good luck, cheese. Nice. I recently looked at Gulang again, and I'm quite impressed with it. Watching others cutting their teeth on it, especially with game dev in mind, is quite interesting. Ooh. Yeah, make sure you go to Cheese's stream when he does it, guys. By the way, those free specialisation, it only took me a minute to get them. Name what they do. I'm impressed right now. Yeah, you should be, Akira. See, we can do it. We can do it for sure. We can do it. I'm going to try and just figure out how on earth. You know, maybe this happened because I copied and pasted it. This was why I was against copying and pasting. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually, when I do copy and paste, I'm going to just put it out the way here, and I'm going to write it in manually. that'll do it. Hopefully we won't get these formatting problems then. Okay, so to just, yeah, that's the formatting's perfect on that now, but just to sum that up, from what I'm gathering, when you shout at the opponent, it actually does deal damage, but just a very small amount. So, it's not going to be super strong, is that correct, Warcry? It'll just be a very tiny amount of damage, 1%. And that will make the opponent attack them just once for its one turn. And then after that, it'll go back to being normal and attacking whoever it wants. Might have an idea for Vampire. 3 specialism, blood magic focus, physical damage focus, and a middle between them. That's really cool as well. Because then it gives a bit of mage, like it adds a mage hybrid to the vampire with blood magic, but then it also adds a fighter hybrid with physical damage. So it's whatever route you want to go for, I guess. And maybe the middle one could be like I don't know, take the Thief archetype a bit more. But yeah, there's a lot of possibilities for sure. That's cool. We can do it, Akira. Right, so I think what I said, I think I understand that skill. Hopefully I do. But eventually, once we've done the skill trees, I will be putting these skills into RPG Maker, and we'll be doing battle tests and seeing how they work in battle. And if there's ever anything a little bit wrong with them, you can say then we can edit them to our heart's desire. Oh no. So that's the first one in. And I haven't put the levels, but we know there's going to be levels anyway. That's straightforward enough. We understand that it's going to upgrade. I'm actually going to remove active because, yeah, we understand that's an active skill. That's super cool. I'm going to put, when I post this in the Discord, to refer to Akira's doc to see a more in-depth description of the skills, because I don't want to get too in depth with this little flowchart design we're doing now, because I don't want too much info to be on it, but I will say in brackets Akira's doc is a bit more detail so people know. Okay, so that's one skill. I'm not going to place them in a particular position yet. We'll think about where they'll be on the skill tree in a little while. We'll just get the skills in first. Ooh, thank you for being helpful for Joji's. And hi Julian, how you doing? It's good to see you. I hope you're having an awesome day, Julian. And every time I see that red emote, I want to cry. But I don't want to see Red the 13th crying. Okay, so next one. Anger, which is a passive skill, and it is a 5% increased damage output at first. So I think, actually that's fine, we'll just make this box a bit smaller. I want it to be a rectangle. I think I made it be a square, didn't I? Nah, it's fine as a square. It looks cute as a square. It's all good. Just a small square. Oh, Sometimes the arrows just get put down when I haven't asked them to. Okay, slash air. Or we could call it air slash. That works as a name as well. Only because I'm not 100% sure about the apostrophe, but air slash could work as a name. What do you reckon? Let me know if you like the sound of that as a name. Okay, so let's get that description in. Finally got the blood magic name. Ooh, thanks to Vampire the Masquerade. That's really cool. That's really good. I think Final Fantasy 14 uses that term. I can't actually pronounce it. Thaumaturgy? Is that how we say it? I'm a noob. But yeah, I know that Final Fantasy 14 used that term for their black mage. And I think that's really cool. We should have that for sure, Akira. Oh, I love that you're coming up with these ideas, Akira. It's very helpful. Okay, so send an air slash and hit 2 chosen enemies for 50% weapon damage. I'm gonna copy anything that's a bit long. I'm gonna copy and paste because it's not hard to remember. But I'll pop it there and then write it manually. Okay, so are those the main ones? Oh, there's more. Metal Breaker, lower 15% of enemy armor. I have a question about this one, Akira, though, because this could include rock enemies, not necessarily metal. Like, you know, if we're in a cave, like a Geodude kind of enemy, for example, I could imagine a sort of breaking through that sort of enemy working with that skill too. But we could also have a separate skill for that. We could have Metal Breaker for armor and then have Rock Breaker for rock based enemies. We could have 2 skills, but we could have it in one as well. It's whatever works best. Sometimes maybe having 2 separate ones could work as well, so there's a specialist thing going on as well. What do you reckon? Because either could work, just depends how we want to handle it. So yeah, we could have 2, one called Metal Breaker and one called Rock Breaker or Mineral Breaker. Or we could have it in one. I don't know the best way to do it, to be honest, but part of me thinks it'd be cool to have 2 separate skills, because then there's a specialism there, and then the warrior could eventually become a specialist in killing rocks and then another killing armored enemies. But maybe it's good if they can kill both. Thaumaturgy, is that how you say it? Hi Tatsu, how you doing? It's good to see you. You can also use another word I can't pronounce for blood magic. Yeah, and if you guys have any suggestions for Akira, like, because Akira's doing this doc with all the ideas in, then Raindrop Chronicles ideas channel will be perfect. Or just give him an app message, like tag him and let him know, because I'm sure he'd super appreciate the help as well. But sometimes it's in stream, so we might see what you've said, Tetsu. Okay, so let's get the next. I'll do Elemental Axe Head first. And this is elemental, and it can be a number of elements. Can be more, and don't need to. Would like to be horizontal. Yeah, horizontal works perfect for that. So you can choose, and it's just another way of having the build you want. And I could imagine that wouldn't be at the start. It would maybe come a bit after, maybe. We'll have to start thinking of where these would fall on the skill tree shortly. because we just randomly putting them anywhere at the moment. So elemental axe head. So fire, ice, earth, light and dark, and that's just 5. I mean, we haven't really discussed the elements we're going to have in Raindrop Chronicles yet, but those 5 are definitely common ones. But there's also others, like water's one. What other elements? I think there could be a number of elements we could have, but we don't necessarily have to have all the elements for this. We could pick the ones that are appropriate for warrior, if you know what I mean, and narrow it down a bit, because we don't have to do everything. We can just stick to the ones. It's up to us. We can do it however we want, as many paths we can take, but I'm just opening up suggestions to see what you all think. And hi Mad Hatter, how are you doing? It's good to see you. I hope you're having a good day. Got the name for vampire specialisation: Tremor, blood magic focus, Gangrel, physical damage focus, and Troubadour middle class. Oh my god, how did you come up with these names? I'm very curious. So these inspired from Vampire the Masquerade? Because I do like them, I just can't pronounce them. But I can always find a website that teaches me, I'm sure. Great day, I hope, all round. Are we doing good, aren't we, guys? I hope you're having a good day too, Mad Hatter. We focusing on skills at the moment, player skills specifically, and we're doing warrior first, and we'll be moving on to hunter and vampire afterwards. We'll do them one at a time, and then once we've done them all, we can put them into RPG Maker then. But it's always good to have that plan before jumping into the deep end with RPG Maker, and actually knowing the skills that we have first before we attempt to make them work in game. I don't know why I've put that there, because that's not that one. Yeah, rock enemies, one of the higher blood spells could be blood from a stone. Yeah, we were actually discussing vampires' effectiveness against rock, because one thing we do know is that as a blood, someone that relies on blood, vampire, they would be absolutely useless against rock enemies, wouldn't they? And it's very interesting to know how we can deal with that, and whether vampire would be terrible or whether there's a solution, as you say, Tetsu. Blood from a stone, and maybe vampire is terrible against rocks early game, but late game, maybe, like you say, Tetsu, there could be ability to get blood from a stone, but you got to be a very badass vampire to do that. You can't just be any old vampire. That's really cool. I like that, Akira. Thank you for fleshing out our vampire for us, because it was one of the harder classes for sure. Warrior and hunter are definitely more traditional and straightforward. We're more familiar with those, but vampire, it's cool that we actually have some ideas for them as well. They're based on the different clans' houses. Cool. I actually own that game on Steam. I'm going to have a look into that. I'm curious. I mean, I think I did play it for about an hour. But as with me, I always end up getting busy and I don't complete games these days. But I found it very intriguing. Yeah, I want to know what these vampire classes are myself. What a good game to get inspiration from, because one thing I do know about vampire, I'm not a pro at it, I'm not very knowledgeable, but I do know it has a lot of different types of vampires in that game, so it's perfect. It's the perfect game to get inspiration for our vampire class from. And Rose is a very feral vampire at the start of the game, but there is such a thing as character arcs. So she could change over time and become like a very sophisticated vampire. Who knows? Who knows? The strikes the rock and blood flow forth. That's a good idea, Tetsu, though, with the rock. It's a good thing to consider, because we will be going to a cave early game. And Rose will be terrible in there, but endgame she'll be good in caves. It's getting a sequel soon now. Yeah, I heard about that. Pretty cool, yeah. I send you the links of the free clan I gave for Vampire Speculation on PM in Discord. Awesome, Akira, thank you. Have a peek at that after stream. So let's get on with getting these rest of the warrior classes in. We've still got over an hour of stream left, so all going well, we'll get warrior done and dusted. We'll definitely carry on from where we've left off tomorrow, on tomorrow's stream. So let's have a look at this elemental axe one. This is what we was on. So yeah, horizontal of different elements. So what we could do, deal fire damage, okay. So we could copy and paste basically, and yeah, do the horizontal skill tree thing. So we have 5 at the moment, and maybe we haven't set in stone elements yet, but this is just a good idea at least. And I think fire and ice asserts. What you've put are like the main elements anyway, Akira, so I can't see us not having the is it light and dark? Okay, so I think I've put what's necessary. And obviously, yeah, we'll put them in a good position later, because we're gonna decide what will be best to unlock early. Like when the hero is at level 1 to 5, what should we have in earning? What should we have level mid skill tree levels? And we won't be thinking so much about mid-level skill tree and end-game skill tree just yet, but some of these might fall there anyway, and we'll have to just imagine that they're there. But we can always fill in the gaps, because there'll be a lot of gaps to fill as well, I'm sure. Oh my goodness, True Baldy, you're getting them. Good job. You do realise with Stone Foundation you have the Titans from Hercules, really, Tetsu? I was, the last time I watched Hercules, I must have been about 4. I was young. I can't remember what happens in it. It's one of the Disney movies I know less about. That's super cool. I think that's a good reference actually, Tetsu. I think I should make a note of that, because then that could inspire us with our warrior for sure. And it's really, really fun that we're gonna have elemental warrior, and we can get to pick which one we want. And we only get, are we only gonna get the choice of one then? Because that's like the player will they be forced to pick which one they want to go for, or do they have the potential to be more than one if they want? Well, I suppose that's something to consider. Right, I will be having a break very shortly to get myself some almond milk as a snack to fill my tum-tums, but we'll still go on a bit longer. I want to get us to a good point first before I have my break. Thank you for that follow, MRPC. Welcome to the stream. It's good to meet you. That was adorable. What was adorable? My goodness, Tetsu. I wonder if Tetsu will ever catch up with Rex on the leaderboard. I wonder. I think you've done a very good job getting second, Tetsu. You're a pro lurker, I have to say, because Rex literally lurks all the time. So the fact that you're second is crazy. I can't even remember what I said. But I'm glad I'm adorable. It's a good trait to have. Okay, so let's have another look. So we've nearly got all your skills in Akira. It's just this one now. So Mineral Breaker. If used on non-armoured enemy, deal half damage on target. Rock enemy counted as armours. So because I think Mineral's a great name for a rock enemy sort of debuff, but would it be as fitting for like for steel? For like humans that wear steel armour, maybe we need a more generic name if it's going to mean both. I think Auron in 10 was his called Armour Breaker. I think his was just standout Armour Breaker, and that was for all any rock or steel enemies. I think, I'm not sure. But yeah, feel free to suggest what you reckon about this one, chat. If you have any ideas for a good debuff for enemy armour breaking for a name. Akira's writing, I see. Heavy break. Akira's very good at coming up with names though. He came up with Blessed Cascade for the Everbloom Forest and I really liked that one. And Binary, welcome back. Oh my word, I'm actually a thing now, like a rainy thing, not just a droppy thing. Who would have thought? Yeah, you're a downpour. You've got over 150 raindrops, Ball Sandwich. That's pretty cool considering you come here on your other account as well. Pretty awesome. Love that name. Hi, Chubby Bum Goblin. Thank you for the follow. My goodness, I missed that. And if I've ever missed saying thank you, I apologise. But I like that name too. It's a good name. Armour Break, yeah. Rock Break maybe is decently more general. Stone Breaker sounds nifty. Yeah, I mean Heavy Breakpoint is a good generic name actually, because I think that applies to both, and that's what we're kind of going for. It's going to be a debuff that handles both rocks and steeled armoured peoples and anybody who's well armoured, whether it's a rock or whether it's somebody wearing armour. So it's a good more generic skill, and I think we'll go with that one then. What do you guys think? I only stopped lurking to hear her read that name. Yeah. But yeah, if we were gonna split those up into specialist skills, like I think Stonebreaker and Armour Breaker would be perfect. But I think we're gonna go for an all-in-one skill, aren't we, that handles them both. Crushing It's a good name as well. Crushing It, what do you reckon? I think we could go for either. This is why we need the Twitch polls feature right now, guys, because Twitch has said that they're going to integrate polls into chat, and this would be perfect. I could put a leaked suggestion and the current one in the poll and see what wins. But you can always say in chat what you prefer in the meantime. Heavy Breakpoint's good, and so is Crushing It. I don't mind. So it's up to the community now. I'm seriously Crushing It right now. Splat. Stone or Armour Break would probably be my vote. Yeah. Which would work, like I said, if we were going to split them up and have the skill apply. One for the rocks and one for the armour. But yeah, we are merging them. So depends if you want to technically lean one way or not, like with the visual effects when you use the skill. Yeah. So there's a lot to consider. Like there's so many directions we could take this for sure. Who knows? I mean, maybe we could split it. Maybe we could do it so the warrior, it does branch even more, and one focuses on rocks and one focuses more on armor. Or maybe both. Right, I'm going to go on my BRB and get my almond milk now. You guys talk about it amongst yourselves and feel what you think works best. And I'll read it when I get back and see what you all think, because it's an interesting one to consider, whether we with these armor breaker skills, whether we should make them split them up into specializations or have that generic all-in-one where it deals with all types of armor. I guess it's preference really, but I'm going to go on my BRB. Be back very soon. Don't go anywhere. I am back. Hi guys, hi Manny, hi Lard, how are you all doing? You like this music? Yeah, this is Final Fantasy 14 music and it's great. There's a reason out of this playlist. And what have you all been saying while I was gone? Watch As for Bits. Oh, you guys, I appreciate that. Because you're helping me doing that. So thank you, Elite. Stonebreaker, have it do the same. Let me show my face first and then I'll read what you've said. Okay, I am here, I am back, and we are here with our skills. That's what we're doing today. I hope you're having a good day, Manny and Lance. Hope it's treating you well. I went through some of the main quests early today for new patch, so good so far. Yeah, I'm currently unsubbed from... Pardon me, this almond milk makes me want to burp. But I'm currently unsubbed, but I really am going to obviously get through that content at some point. But probably what I'm going to do is wait for a few of the patches to come out so I can sub again and play them all in one go. Because I haven't got the time to play it lately, but I adore Final Fantasy 14, so I will at some point for sure. I have Sephiroth besides my name. You do. You had the Sephiroth badge because this channel has Final Fantasy bit badges. Because I love Final Fantasy. What have I missed? Welcome back, Hermit. We've been talking about skill ideas and getting a skill tree planned. So I'm going to go back and chat and read what I missed. That's one of the 5% chance unique dialogues right there. Oh yeah, that idea with the 5% dialogue is cool. And if you have any ideas, Battle Sandwich, for what sort of dialogues they could be, if you've got an interesting bunch of ideas, feel free to share them in the Discord in the ideas section for sure. You've got one. I'm seriously crushing it right now. Splat. Yeah, that's one for sure. Hello, scientists. Hi, Mr. Dev. How you doing? Welcome to the stream. It's good to meet you. Hope you're having a good day. What kind of skills are we talking about? Well, right. So these are the current classes in the game of Raindrop Chronicles. We got Warrior, Hunter, and Vampire. Warrior and Hunter is what the custom hero can be. You get the choice of which one you want to be. And Vampire is me, Rose, the Rose character. She's the vampire and she's the first person that joins the party in the game. So those are why they're the first skills you're working on. And right, can we go to the left? Where's our bar? I can hardly see it. These are all the ones that are confirmed to be in the game and the ones that aren't confirmed, and they will be potential classes in the future. So I'm just trying to let you know that they're there, but we're not really working on those ones at the moment. We are working on the ones that we have got currently in the game, so we get it done, because we'll be here for another 2 years just thinking of all these classes. So we'll start thinking of those ones when they actually join the game, when they actually join the party. So yeah, we're doing Warrior today. We might be able to start Hunter today too, we'll see, but we will be carrying on with this tomorrow. Actually, have I got bit badges for a thing? Yeah, it's amazing how they are now, isn't it? Why doesn't Apple call its updates an eye patch? They should. Okay, so have a look. We were talking about this one. What's this? What's aura? Is that a reference to something? I've heard it before. I swear you've said that before, Akira. Unless I was dreaming. Okay, so what are we going to do then, guys? Are we going to have this default one? Or are we going to separate them? I think for now we'll keep the default one. We'll do the heavy break point that Akira's got, but there's always room for us to expand on it if we feel it could be, if we want to separate and specialise. So I'm going to copy and paste this, And like I said, I will say when I post this on the Discord, I'll put a link to your dock here, and I'll say if you want to see it in more detail, because this isn't going to go in massive details and skills. We're not going to add the room in the boxes to do that. We just want to get a basic description and name written down, and then put them in as a skill tree. Lower 15% of enemy armour. Okay, so that's the first one, and it will gradually get more because you'll come across these again when I'll upgrade later on in the skill tree. Yeah, and I'd say that armour does include rock. Like, you know what I mean? If there's a Geodude sort of enemy, I'd say that does, you know, it means that as well, basically. So, there we go. We've got your warrior skills. I haven't missed any, have I, Akira? We've got them all there, and they all make sense with what I've put, hopefully. So, I'm going to just have a peek at what I had for warrior and see what we've got. So I also had the idea of a berserk skill for warrior, and I know that's probably more suited to berserker that we have here, who currently isn't in the game but could be. Depends if you guys reach your 500 raindrops and choose to be one of these, if you want to be a playable character, that is. Some of you might just want to be an NPC. I'm dying. I was waiting for that moment to happen. Oh yeah, Jojo. Yeah, I've heard people keep talking about that. I had someone in stream mention it the other day, actually. Was it you, Storm? It was you, wasn't it, who mentioned it? My goodness, Manny, you're getting there with those raindrops yourself. You're not far from our requirement to be a character in the game. Not far at all. Okay, so for the ones we've got so far, before we start adding any potential other skills and filling in the gaps, let's plan out an idea for how this could work as a skill tree with what we've got so far. So we'll just use this space for that, and we'll make it a bit bigger when we work on the hunter and vampire ones. So out of all these skills in the blue box that we've got for warrior, guys, where do you imagine them being? Start, middle, end? Start, middle? At the start, but not at the start? We need to start thinking about which are going to be the first ones. What warrior skill would be the first ever skill in the skill tree? But these ones here, for a start, these ones are all going to be together horizontally. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to join them all up, not with an arrow, but with a line. I forgot how I do this now. It can be a little bit confusing sometimes. Oh, that's it. There we go. We'll turn it white. We'll make it a bit thicker. Oh no, that's not straight. Can't be having that. Need it to be straight. Hey, how dare you? Get straight. It's like 1 pixel off. Maybe it's because, yeah, that's why, because the box wasn't in line. So, yeah, these ones are all basically going to be horizontal to each other on the tray. So, you'll get the choice of what element you want to become with this particular. So really what it isn't a specific attack, it's just gonna forever add that element to your physical attacks, I take it. We'll have to obviously make that clear in the skill tree. We'll be able to go a bit more thorough with the descriptions in the game. That'll be fine, but For now, we'll just keep it brief on here. Akira's document expands on it more anyway. Air slash is too fancy, you reckon? Does it sound like it's got too much finesse for a warrior? Is that it? What do you reckon? If you've got any ideas what could replace it, feel free to say. What about the underground people I was talking about earlier? There are some Nordic mythology stories that can give inspiration. We were taught some in school and think they might fit. You could perhaps have these dwarves, giants, whatever, working on some big construction hidden from other races, like a spaceship or a thing that destroys the earth, and you have to defeat them to stop that construction. That's pretty cool, because yeah, well, like I said, we was talking about introducing dwarves to the game, and I think we should. I think we should. And who was it? It wasn't you actually, Kermit, that mentioned the dwarves living underground. I think it was somebody else. I'm going to make a note of that, what you said, like Kermit, and put it in my notepad file. Because I think that's likely, and it's good to make a mental note of all these potential story or faction ideas for sure. And just so you know, you 100% confirm a faction or story or character arc if you become a character in the game and make your character that. Like, for example, if you create a character, you can make them be a dwarf, or make them be something in particular and have a certain character arc. Because just like Akira did with Legion, he basically confirmed Legion's place in the story and that particular character arc. And we don't have dwarf as a race, but what you could do if anybody here did want to have a dwarf as their character is they could just say human. The cunt, because a dwarf isn't human. What am I going to do? I might add it. I might just add it to the character sheet, you know, and have 8 races. Could do that. It'll only take me a little bit of time to do a face for a dwarf, because the dwarf face set would just be a human with a beard, and it'd just be the sprite that had to be a bit shorter, but their face would look like a human, wouldn't it? So I could just do that. I could just add the dwarf to the, because I'm very tempted to. Anyway, let's catch up with chat. I'm rambling. Anger maybe should be a second one. Oh my goodness, guys, the chat is being weird and not letting me scroll back, so bear with me. Anger should be second one, like optionally between it and another active skill. Okay, so yeah, anger is a passive skill, so that would work. What I'm gonna do is pop it there. We'll get the order sorted. Should Warcry be the first skill that we get, or should it be something that we? How do we select everything? Is that selected everything? No. I need to work this bloody thing out because I want to try and grab all these together. There we go. Easy peasy. Move these down a bit because these are going to be more mid skill tree, I'd say. So we'll keep them down there a bit. Character limit was 500 in my head. But yeah, I mean, having a character 100% confirms it, but just if you don't have a character, don't worry, you can still suggest ideas, but it just doesn't 100% confirm it, you know what I mean? But until we potentially get to creating factions, because we'll probably have a stream later on where we start talking about factions more, but I'd say that will be when we get to the relevant point, because at the moment we're focusing on Everbloom Forest and it's a human-only area. Whenever the time comes when it's relevant to talk about factions, we will. Probably when we get to a bigger city. When we move on to a big city, there's always factions in big cities, isn't there? And there's the opportunity to discuss who could live there and what sort of factions we could have for sure. I'd say Warcry with Stone Armor Stuffbreaker and Anger being horizontal to each other to pick either or both later, and Air Slashes somewhere else later. Okay, let's get this in plan. So Warcry and that one. Warcry with it. Oh yeah, so Anger as well. So let's just get these as the first ones next to each other. And air slash later. Yeah, I'd say air slash should be before the elemental stuff though. What do you guys reckon? Because I definitely don't see the elements coming in until later. That feels definitely more powerful and won't be introduced too early. Yeah, it's 2 drops every 10 minutes if you're a sub. That's correct. And it's 1 if you're not a sub. 1 drop every 10 minutes if you're not a sub. And it does seem slow and like a grind, but it is very possible to get those drops quite quickly. You can get 100 drops quite fast. Elite's been with us for 3 weeks and he's already hit 500 raindrops. So that's an example of how fast you can get them. No, it's too fancy for a first skill is all. Fits fine in oh, I thought you meant the name was too fancy, like air slash. It's very, very fancy. It is quite fancy, but no reason why a warrior can't be fancy, I guess. But yeah, yeah, I know what you mean now. The skill itself is quite a fancy one for early on. So I misunderstood you, but I thought you meant the whole name. Did I miss the hunted things? Hi Kung. No, we still actually got hunted to do. We're still on warrior. We're being sly, but that you know what it's like. We talk a lot in this stream, so things can take a while to get done. But we will. It's likely we'll be doing hunter tomorrow in tomorrow's stream, and possibly vampire too. Doors are easy, thankfully, relatively speaking. Yeah, it's not going to be hard to add a dwarf race to the game. Literally, it was discussed yesterday, and we just used the children's sprites and add beards to the children. Because the children's sprites, literally, they're just the same as the adult ones, except shorter. So, that will be straightforward enough. And as for the face, could use the same as the human face, because dwarves don't look any different to humans, do they? In all reality, it's just the height that makes them different. Taunts are only useful as your first skill if you start with a party, which you do, unless you limit them to only attacking you as opposed to always targeting you. Yeah, and that's a good point, Elite. So which one's the taunt? This is the taunt one, isn't it? And one thing we do have to realise, you say that we start with a party, but we actually don't, because the custom hero is on his own for 2 maps of the Everbloom Forest. He doesn't meet Rose until Silent Haven, which is the 3rd map of the Everbloom Forest. So he will have to fight a few enemies on his own first before he's going to be on his own, like for 2 maps. And I think how many enemies? There's going to be about 8 encounters, 8 battles on those 2 maps approximately. So maybe that would make Warcry something that comes a little bit later, not too late. I can definitely see it being something early in the skill tree, but maybe not the first one. Maybe there's something else before it. What do you guys reckon? We might need to look at some examples of warriors in other games to inspire us for skills, but I still have this. We've got this. We can have a peek at this. Oh, sorry, I meant Heavy Breakpoint and Anger being like 2nd tier, with Warcry being the 1st tier. You have to pick this one or start with this one ability. Yeah, and I think that's what we're discussing at the moment, whether Warcry should be the 1st. Because, like we says, the warrior will be on his own for a bit at the start. I mean, not for too long, but there's going to be at least 8 single battles before Rose joins the party. Fancy warrior, love it. But what did you say? Heavy Breakpoint and Anger being 2nd tier, yeah. Warcry being 1st. So I think Warcry should definitely be early, but maybe we should have one in front of Warcry. But one thing we do have to realise, actually, and I'm going to mention it now, is that it doesn't have to be Warrior. Warcry can still be 1st, but not unlocked. Like, it might take about 200 class points to unlock it. Maybe those 8 battles you need to do those particular 8 battles before you get enough points to unlock Warcry, if you get what I mean. Because we're gonna start with 0 class points, and you have to grind those class points from battles before you can even use the skill tree or have enough to pick it. So that could work. Taunt won't do much unless it locks them into something like Fury for 1 turn 2, yeah. And I mean, there's a possibility we could do that, but maybe there's also the option to have something called Fury that makes the skill more, do that extra thing. What do you reckon? Because it'd be good to branch off Warcry, maybe. So you can keep a mage type enemy locked out of using their abilities if you spam it. Yeah. And we also need to consider what enemies are actually in the Everbloom Forest as well, because we have all these plant-based enemies, and we still have a few. We have the deer, we have the tree stump, and we had the small tree stump as well, and the big tree. But these are the 4 we had. These are the 4 we have when the warrior or the hunter is on their own, before Rose joins the party. This is a poison one. This gives you poison, because that felt very straightforward for a toxic plant to give poison. But we decided we won't give any other debuffs or status kind of, you know, like poison sleep. We won't introduce sleep or paralyze or anything like that, or blind, because that's too much for the first dungeon. So we're only going to have poison as a status affliction. Nothing else yet. The cave might introduce another one, like blind maybe, but we're definitely not going to have too many in the Everbloom Forest. I think we said for the mushroom we were going to have something that was a debuff to lower player speed, with like sort of spore thing. It felt appropriate, but we're still a bit unsure with the flower and bee. We haven't 100% confirmed those yet, so it'd be really cool if we can be clever and think what would work well against these particular enemies, and actually have the very, very early first thing on the skill tree be something that meshes well with these. That would be a cool idea, both for hunter and warrior, I guess. Let's catch up with chat. Well, having Breakpoint and Anger be second with Warcry later on, or Anger and Warcry be horizontal and second tier with Breakpoint. So yeah, see, there's a lot of ways we could go about it, if you know what I mean. And I think it's pretty much confirmed up that these 3 are going to be early on in the skill tree, but there might be something before it that we could have. There's no worries there. I think it would be really good if the first thing was something that went well with these, because I'm not sure the Warcry definitely won't, because the warrior, Rose doesn't join the party until at least 8 battles after. So I feel like it would have to be the second one maybe, or third. But yeah, don't forget it's going to cost a number of points to even unlock. So maybe it's fine to have as the first one, but we just have to make sure that they can't unlock it too fast. They'd have to grind a little bit to have the number of class points required as soon as the warrior gets to Silent Haven. Then they might have enough to unlock that just before the second player joins the party. Having the first skill be locked is cool in my opinion, even if it's alone, like no other option at the start. Yeah, and I think we should definitely have it locked. I agree. Like, not learnt. Right at the start of the game, the warrior and the hunter have no skills basically. I think they should only have the ability to attack and defend and use items. Like, really be simple. And then, because then it feels like you're rewarded when you get your first ever skill, then you feel like you've earned it by not already having one unlocked when you start the game. So yeah, I think we'll go with that. Even if it's alone, like no other option at the start. Oh, okay, so you guys are saying more stuff. Let me catch up. Taunt is good for an emergency. I won't speak until I've read it all, so I can see 100% what you've said. Taunt is good for emergency redirecting damage if your glass cannon is aggroed and about to die, and you'll hear that he's going after the enemy or something. Yeah, taunt is going to be really good for Rose. When Rose joins a party, she's super squishy. I says I wouldn't talk, but I am. Rose is super squishy, so having that war cry unlock just as Rose joins the party is going to be really cool, because you'll be able to protect her then. Even though Rose has self-healing capabilities like Drain, maybe she won't learn Drain straight away. She probably won't learn Drain straight away, so we'll have to protect her because of how squishy she's going to be. So war cries are really handy there. And Hunter, how is Hunter gonna, because I've just realised Hunter and Vampire in the party together, they're not going to have that tank, are they, to protect them? So I wonder how that's going to work. We'll have to consider that too. Victory, good pun, so I really like Scatter Shot for Hunter. Yeah, Kung, if you have ideas for Hunter, keep those in mind, and we're going to have a hunt. We'll be doing a lot of Hunter stuff tomorrow on tomorrow's stream. But if you want to get them in now, you get your ideas in now, that this is the perfect place to put in the Raindrop Chronicles ideas channel, because sometimes it's great to sound stream, but sometimes there's always a possibility it might slip my mind. Let's catch up. I'll be right honest, I just really like the idea of anger being second or third if you want 2 linear skill choices early on, tier with an active skill horizontally with it, so that the player basically can choose between passive buff or active situational skill. Yeah, okay. Alright, let's let's plan that out then, Battle Sandwich, because I think that sounds cool too. So anger. Oh, go away, arrows. So let's get them out of the way a sec. In fact, I want to move these down a bit because they're getting in the way. I want a bit more room because these aren't going to come until later, much later. We'll get them right there. So you say you'd like anger being second or third if we have a heavy breakpoint. Is that what you mean? And yeah, heavy breakpoint is an active skill, isn't it? So is this what you mean? Battle Sandwich, anger and heavy breakpoint together horizontally, and then getting the choice of which one you want to go for. And then war cry above it, because I feel like war cry is going to be a perfect early skill. Maybe not first, but definitely second if we have one before it, because we need it when Rose joins the party to protect her squishiness. So but it all depends, because Warcry could be the perfect first one. It all just depends how many class points it costs, because those particular battles on the first maps, those first 2 maps before we meet Rose, we could do it so that how many class points it costs to fight those 8 battles will be the exact number it takes to unlock Warcry. We could do that. Do you think that's a smart idea, guys? I'm not sure, because we haven't decided how many points, experience points, class points, or whatever each battle is going to give yet, but we can fix it so that that's how it works. Oh, I really well thought out there having Warcry not just as yeah, I like it. Yeah, so we can fix it so that happens, like 8 battles. So for example, let's get them up. We'll have 2 toxic plants, 2 mushrooms, 2 bees and 2 flowers, just for example. That's just imagine that those are the 8 battles that we've got. And say class points, well, it's hard to say because there's going to be multiple mushrooms. I think there's a mob of 3 with the mushrooms and a mob of 2 with the toxic plants, and we haven't even decided for the flower and the bee yet how many are going to be in the mob. And sometimes there might be a mixture, you know, there might not all just be flowers or all. So we'll have to do a bit of maths there and see how many class points we could potentially reach, and whatever it is, we'll make that the number. So it'll be we'll have fixed it perfectly then. And yeah, obviously, if it was already unlocked, it would be useless, but it's going to be locked. And it's really cool, I think, to not, like we say, not have any skills right at the start of the game. But as an idea, 200 class points could be an estimate, and we can make it fixed so that the number of class points you earn will eventually amount to those 200 points and unlock it just as you get to Silent Haven. Hunter pretty much DPS. I basically always have Hunter as my main, but won't be on tomorrow. Oh, okay, you're not going to be on Kung. Well, so if you do have some ideas, I will copy and paste them right now, Kung, so that I can refer to them tomorrow. And you can always watch the VOD if you're curious, I guess. So, yeah, I'll copy the scattered shot one. Let me go back in chat. There we go. Yeah, and I think it's true. Hunter's DPS. Do you see, like, could it be a bit of a support class as well? Maybe like a hybrid of DPS and support. So I definitely see Warrior as a hybrid of DPS and tank. A tank with DPS like capabilities as well. DPS or especially anti-squishy, like horrible versus arm and such, but good at targeting squishy stuff. So yeah, I mean, you gotta be careful when you're a hunter. It'll be interesting to discuss that one as a ranged sort of DPS, and how they're going to protect themselves from enemies because they're squishy and stuff. It's a good thing about Rose, she's squishy, but she's got self-healing capabilities with Drain, and also she's probably going to be a bit more roguey, and she's good at like hiding away a bit more. But where the hunter could have a bit of stealth as well, maybe though. So maybe we can do Vampire tomorrow and Hunter after Vampire. It's going to be, I mean, I would like to deal with the player character first before we move on to Vampire, because the player character is the Warrior or the Hunter. It feels good to work on them first, especially because they're going to affect those first encounters. But ideally, I want to do both Hunter and Vampire tomorrow, in all honesty, because we don't want to spend too long discussing. I mean, it's always good to discuss them, but at the same time, we want to get them put in our own RPG Maker as well as soon as possible, so we can progress on the game. Otherwise, we'll be forever. So yeah, I feel like because we've only done Warrior today, but I feel like because we've got into it now, we'll easily be able to do both Hunter and Vampire tomorrow. And yeah. You can, I mean, Kung, if you've got ideas now, you can totally say, I will totally copy and paste them and talk about them on tomorrow's stream and introduce them. Breakpoint can be any active skill, really, if you decide to swap it in with a different active at some point, but you got it right, yeah. So we'll keep it like this for now, then. I feel like this is a good idea, but obviously we can, like, flesh it more and have more, because we've only got a few so far, but we'll definitely think of some more. Have a lot of brilliant ideas, like aim, focus, steady shots, something like that. Yeah, and I'm gonna copy all the ideas, and Akira's already got some ideas too, but we definitely obviously are going to build on from Akira's ideas. But they're very good as a starting point to inspire us for how the builds could work. But hang on, we have some ideas here too. Have a peek at these and see what you think. So I've got a few for Hunter here, so feel free to say what you think of these, Kung. They're very rough ideas. But there were just a couple that we had several streams ago. Well, more than several streams ago. Waifu, hi Kay, how you doing? It's so good to see you. Hope you're doing well. So sorry about taking forever to say hi. I'm taking a while to catch up with chat today. I hope you're doing good, Kay. A shot with venom or poison, that's cool. I think having being a dot sort of character, the Hunter's really good as well, because I did say that Vampire could be dot based. They could have a bleed where a bite on a monster would kind of do damage over time and leave a bleed on an enemy. That's really cool for Rose, but it would be super cool if the Hunter had a sort of poison dot as well. I'm not sure how effective that would be on enemies in the Everbloom Forest, being as they are poison based enemies themselves, mainly the toxic plant. They might be immune to poison. But definitely, you know, there's going to be dungeons where that would be super effective for sure. And it's probably not something that's going to be super early and locked on the skill tree anyway, if we did a poison dot. So it's not like that would be unlocked by the time we're in Everbloom Forest anyway, probably a bit later on. I always like the idea of archers being good at dodging, so actually surprisingly hard for heavy slow physical damage orientated enemies to kill them, but fast just generally physical damage enemies are dangerous. That's a good idea for how they can protect themselves and being a good dodger, because if you're squishy, you've got to be able to have some form of how you're going to defend yourself, aren't you? Otherwise you're dead meat. Spells are, and the like, are also dangerous for the same reason. And quick fast shock, heavy on damage but a long time. Okay, I'm going to make sure I copy all these ideas, Kong, especially because you're not going to be here tomorrow. It's important we have your suggestions now because you love Hunter. I'll get that there. I'll keep this up so you can see, guys. And yeah, we did talk about potentially having a pet that aids in battle. It won't be to the degree that a summoner or beastmaster would be, because they specialise. They would be literally all about animals, summoners and beastmasters. But, well, not necessarily animals with summoner. They're a bit more magical, but definitely beastmasters. And Hunter could just be a sort of work in a similar way, but just different, if you know what I mean. We could be creative about it, I suppose. If you've got any ideas for how what animals would be good for Hunter and how they'd work exactly, I'd love to hear it. You do like traps. Traps is a really unique, sort of interesting passive skill, I guess. Or would it be an active one, trap? Because I imagine it as a passive skill. Like once you've learned it, you forever get that extra loot. But maybe there's another way of seeing it. So strong versus squishy and slow things, vulnerable to fast, accurate melee and range spells, maybe especially AoE since hard to judge as faults for you. AoE is great, and I think where is let's get Akira's ideas for Hunter so you can actually see. Although I think Akira's called it Archer, so oh, has he changed the name to Hunter now? Oh, there it is. Okay, so... Oh, no, that it isn't. Oh, gosh, there's so much. Where is it? Is it alphabetical? I think it is. There we go. So... this is an example of an AoE attack that Akira's got here. He's called it Arrow Rain, and it deals 30% weapon damage to all opponents. So that's a really cool AoE that Hunter could have. Eagle Eye he's got for passive. So that's about accuracy, which works really well. I think an accuracy sort of passive for Hunter is quite a good idea for sure. Charge Shot active. Ignore 20% of the enemy's armor. What exactly does that mean? I'm actually trying to work that out. If anybody understands it, I'd love that. And Snake Venom, poison damage. So there we go. We had the sort of poison suggestion too. So that is a basic idea of some skills that Hunter could have too. Chaos Theory, thank you for the follow. Welcome. Hope you're doing good. Vulnerable to fast, accurate melee and range spells, maybe especially AoE since hard to dodge. But yeah, guys, sometimes I'm not going to take all this information in for your suggestions on one stream, so don't forget to pop them in here if in case I've missed anything you've said or I've read it and I haven't properly understood. Definitely pop it in here. But just to remind you, I will be intending to make a skills channel for these little diagrams we do, similar exactly to how the dialogue suggestions channel is, except one for skills. When these are complete, these skill trees, I'm going to pop them in there, and we can just discuss how we can flesh them out more or edit them and stuff like that. And I mean, I might put what we've done this stream in, to be honest, although it's not finished. Maybe maybe I'll still take a little screenshot of what we've got so you can give some suggestions. There we go. So we'll just move them a bit close, and we're obviously going to get more, but this is just a very early plan of some of the skills for warrior. I mean, we can look at the ones that I've got too, because I had some ideas like a berserk one, and that we'll have to start considering the branches and things as well, so that we can have potential different builds as well with warrior. In a lot of vampire lore, biting and drinking the blood of a human also gave them more power too. Yeah, like drain. Do you mean like drain, like a self-healing sort of ability? Because one thing I did intend with Rose as a vampire, she could bite an enemy, deal physical damage with that bite, and take away a portion of that damage for herself and heal with it, like a typical drain sort of ability. It's a perfect self-healing thing, and I think vampire needs that for sure. So successfully hitting the enemy could give a small boost to damage for a turn or two, something like that. Oh yeah, so you mean for more power, not just healing. I read that wrong, Cheese, I apologise. So that could be really cool for vampire as well, actually. I didn't actually consider that it would also work as a power buff, so I'm going to copy and paste that. Got a lot of notes today. Something like that, or could be give a gradual but small overall increase in power by, say, 0.something% when X is a small number. Yeah, we'll have to think about that, because we'll be doing vampire tomorrow. I'm making these notes, but I'll definitely look back at them tomorrow. I hope I haven't missed anything, but if I have, then feel free to repeat yourself if I've missed anything. So I was back. Welcome, Kay. How are you doing? I hope you're having a good day, Kay. How are your streams going, Kay? Hope you're having fun being back on Twitch. Bets are good for keeping aggro so that the hunter can stay ranged. That is really good, actually, Kung. Because one thing I have wondered about is how the hunter's going to take care of themselves, being a squishy DPS without a tank. Because without that tank, which we won't have, the hunter and the vampire are going to be alone in battle. They won't have a tank to protect them. So I suppose having a pet that takes the aggro and is a bit like a tank works kind of well for the hunter for sure, when they don't have that tank in the party. So I'm going to copy and paste what you've said there as well. Oh, and one thing I hate is when a ranged character has to only use ranged weapons, even if the enemy's standing right in front of them. Like, why would you use a bow and arrow for someone who is hitting you with a sword? Yeah, so what do you reckon is a good idea if the enemy is close to the hunter then, and they've only got a bow and arrow? Could they have a sort of skill that deals with that sort of situation somehow? Feel free to say. Sorry, I was kind of bouncing ideas off of Kung as well. No problem. But maybe it's too hard to come around. Definitely worth throwing a post on Discord to general suggestions though. Yeah, if you like want to expand on anything you've said during the stream, that you really want to feel that you want to say, then Discord's the perfect place. The Raindrop Chronicles ideas channel for that, because it allows me some time to properly read it as well, because when chat's moving fast on stream, sometimes it can be difficult to fully focus on somebody's idea that they might have, and it could easily go missed. I'm good, Sugar You. Our streams are going well. Glad to hear it, Kai. Definitely, because you do stream a lot of the times when I end up having my dinner, but hopefully at some point I'll be able to stop by for sure. Hi Rose, good to see you. Hi Billy, how you doing today? It's good to see you too. Hope you're having a good day. Usually archers have a short sword or dagger, a little dagger or fist fight. Well, we got to think, because one thing about each of our classes in Raindrop Chronicles, which we got a list of here, they're all going to have their own unique weapon, and that's one thing that we've confirmed. And I believe assassin would be the dagger person. We basically said Hunter for sure is the bow and arrow person, but there's nothing wrong with them having a secondary weapon, but it'd be cool to have one that isn't taken by another class, just so it adds that distinctive quality to them, and it doesn't feel like they're going to just be a clone of an assassin when they're no longer ranged, if you get what I mean. So maybe we can think about that, how they deal with I mean, it's true they could just use the fists, I guess, if they're going to be good at that, though. What about a magician? I guess sorcerer is the same thing. To be honest, though, assassin probably would have dual daggers, wouldn't they? So it doesn't. I suppose it wouldn't be copying assassin to just have a single dagger as a hunter, maybe. But then it adds a bit of complexity to hunt, because the one thing about RPG mode, I think there's only one weapon slot. I'm not sure if you can add 2 weapon slots. Maybe there is a plugin for that. But if you could, it would, hunter seems like it would be the only one that would have 2 weapons, if that's the case. What about magician? I guess sorcerer is the same thing. Yeah, hi Donut, how you doing? Yeah, sorcerer is a confirmed Swedish beard, is our sorcerer. He's confirmed in the game as a class. He's not in it currently. None of these are. They're confirmed, but no, not currently in the game. These are the only ones that are. But they will obviously join over time, and then we'll get a chance to think of their skills. So yeah, sorcerer is like your typical mage, your wizard, your magician, basically. They'd be all those things, and there's definitely an opportunity to create multiple builds of a sorcerer, because I'm sure there's lots of different paths and builds that you can be as that sort of class for sure. Yeah, basically that. Because it's the same. Hunter's basically ranger and archer. Warrior's basically fighter, and your standard, fighter. I mean, you can have like barbarian and berserker as well, but we have that there. And I think warrior's a bit different to berserker and barbarian. Barbarian and berserker have the mace or the club, and warrior has the axe. And knight has the sword and shield, and they're more armoured as well than a barbarian or berserker would be. I literally could imagine a berserker or a barbarian would be in the nude fighting. They'd literally just have a little cloth on their private parts, and they'd be nude apart from that. That would be what that character would be. I struggle to imagine them any other way. Whereas warrior is very different, because they're very armoured up, similar to the paladin / knight. Illusionist can cut people in half and put them back together. Yeah, I mean, some of these, like, you might have ideas for other classes, but they're going to be very similar to what we've got. And because we're going to have builds, these skill trees aren't going to be linear. We'll be able to expand on these and make them more complex. Like, for example, I mean, do we need paladin? I mean, I'm wondering now if paladin and knight are the same thing. What would be the difference between a paladin and a knight, guys? Because if there is a difference, I'll keep it there. But if we feel knight is a paladin, we might as well remove that one, because it's too similar otherwise. And we kind of do want the classes to be distinct from each other. Can't hear a ton because in kitchen, but heard sorcerer being more or less classic magic class. Had a thought. Yeah, sorcerer is. It's your mage, it's your wizard, and it's your magician all in one. And like we says, there'll be branches, because I'm sure you guys, there's many different types of sorcerers there could be, for sure. Does a paladin have healing powers typically? That's true as well. But that's why because now we've confirmed that there's going to be multiple builds per class. The knight could do that too, right? The knight could become a paladin or a dark knight, like with their builds. So I'm kind of like, all the classes we've got here are very distinct from each other, I believe. But the paladin is the one that I'm the only one I'm wondering about being a bit similar to what we've already got with the knight. But all the others are very, very, very distinct for sure. If you want some extra variety there and to squeeze in an extra class with relative ease, you can have another magic class like wizard or mage or such that has many of the same skills but focuses more on defensive strat rather than offensive, which is what the sorcerer could do. That's true as well, Battle Sandwich, that we could always have a defensive magic person. Although there's a lot of these sort of classes like your priest, your illusionist, gamblers and psychics and stuff that could fall under that defensive crowd control sort of magic class as well. So, you know, but we do have a look at TV tropes, guys, because these can help come up with some ideas as well. So I super love this website. But what we were doing, we're going to have a peek at some more warrior skill ideas we had before we finish up. Based on the idea that sorcerers are using more natural innate wild magic versus wizards being more artificially trained in it, maybe alongside natural talent, but still. But don't you think wizard, those two could both be the sorcerer and you just pick the build you want, sort of like, you know, when we was talking about the vampire being different types of vampires? Could work the same with sorcerer becoming, because otherwise we'll limit ourselves with sorcerer builds if we start introducing wizard as well. I don't know, I just don't want to spread ourselves too thin with the classes. I want to make sure that we've got very distinctive ones, especially now we're making use of builds. If it was very linear, like if I says, oh, the skill trees are going to be super linear, guys, we're not going to, then I would probably think, yeah, that's a good idea to start adding different types of mages. But yeah, just a thought in case multiple people wanted to be a classic spell boy, especially since I didn't look at your long list back to kitchen. Yeah, I'm sure people will be. And like I said, I'm always up for adding more classes to our list if you think of any. But I feel like they have to be at least a bit distinct. And I feel like we've got a few. For magic people interested in magic, there's cleric, there's dancer. I mean, is dancer a magic one or is it a DPS? I don't know. Don't know much about it. There's gambler and illusionist, a necromancer, occultist, plague doctor, psychic, priest, summoner, time manipulator, puppet master. All things like that are very kind of mystical and have an opportunity to have a lot of magic. And I'm sure there's others. Like I say, if anybody wants to have a peek at this particular page in TV tropes, I'm going to leave you guys with that. It runs through all the different types of classes that can exist in an RPG. I mean, there's something like witch doctor here, there's shaman, right? I mean, I don't think shaman's something we have on the list. Or warlock, if you know what I mean. Maybe that would be more fitting to add rather than wizard. It's a bit more distinct because I still see wizard just as a sorcerer, but maybe I'm very wrong. But it's definitely a branch, something that could branch off sorcerer. Because if you look at the sorcerer's character sheet, Swedish Beard, who is him, he's basically a wizard himself, you know what I mean. He's you know, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like they're very close. Hi Dav, how are you doing? Good to see you. Having a good day? Lord have mercy on my soul. Been babysitting 7-year-old today and I've survived. Oh my goodness, congrats Legmark. I wouldn't survive if I did that, I have to admit. So good job. Keep in mind that all naked male classes battling would still be called a sword fight. What? Even if they didn't have swords? Is that lewd, Billy? I'm very partial to healers. Are you, Dav? Would you be a priest then? I suppose not. Priest and cleric you'd probably look at as what would be that, but I think that some of them have a lot of potential to be healers as well. Alchemist with potions, gambler and illusion. I don't know about illusionist, but gambler and psychic and ones like that could be. And there's one that caught my eye then. Who was it? Bard might have healing capabilities as well. Paladin as well, obviously. But part of me is wondering if I should put that in Knight. But I don't know. Some part of me wants to keep Paladin as on its own. Something I have to think about. New class game dev can hack into game at will and change things. You're going to hack into my game, cheese. I'd absolutely be a priest. I love support characters. Well, Dav, if you are interested, then now is the time to take that priest class before someone steals it from under your eyes. So I'm gonna lead the command about the game. ! Project. Once you get the 500 raindrops, you get to be a character in the game. So once you get those, and then you can be a character. So you gotta just click the link tree and the info page, and it'll tell you everything. But we will eventually have the website up and running. It'll be a lot easier to see everything you need on that than it is currently. But the link tree is pretty straightforward anyway. There's not much on there anyway. Oh my god, Dav, you're getting close. You'll get there, I believe in you. And it's not like someone's going to steal it, yeah, or maybe they will. It kind of is a race of who takes them, and with these, because once somebody takes a class, they move into confirmed and nobody can be them. Nobody else can be them, because we're not going to have the same class twice in the game. So, yeah. Close indeed. Oh my goodness, guys, it's nearly the end of the stream. So what I'm going to do, this is how far we've got with the warrior, but I'm going to make a channel at some point tonight, put it in the Discord with a screenshot of what I've got so far for warrior, and I'm going to potentially mention some other warrior skill ideas I've got, and we'll flesh it out more tomorrow. Although at the moment we're going to keep it very simple, and because it's very early game, and we'll gradually expand it as we think of more ideas and as we get further through the game. But yeah, we only need the early part of the skill tree done, in all honesty, at this point. We don't want to think of in-game stuff too early on when we're so early in the game. So yeah, with a focus more on early skills. Thank you, Fang, for the follow. I appreciate that. 2 types of accounts I love: support and shopkeepers. Yay. Well, it's always I'm glad that there's a couple that you like, Dav, but priest might not get taken. You might get the 500 raindrops before it gets taken. All depends if somebody else has the idea of taking priests. So we'll just say, but at the moment we've only got these ones, and obviously these ones too. Okay, guys, so I'm going to drop us off at somebody's stream now, because it's the end of our stream today. Thank you for hanging out. I appreciate you all, and welcome new folks. Thank you for all the follows today. Let's do a raid command. Who wants to join us in the raid? All you need to do is copy the Rose Raid Blood and put an email of your choice in the chat when we go say hi. So I'm just having a peek of who we couldn't say hi to today. I'm very hungry. I've still got my milk. Thanks for the stream. You're welcome, Dav. So I'm gonna, oops, double rose. No, you don't want to see that. I'm gonna hide this. Oh no, we got a black background today. So I'm gonna have a get Twitch up so we're all ready to go in the stream. Make sure that the person doesn't go offline or anything. And super appreciate if you join me in the raid. We're gonna say hi to Twisty Chris today. She is playing Scary Game, I believe, because it's Spooktober. So a lot of peeps are playing the scary ones. So, Mummy, you want to get me playing in the scary games? So, she's a super lovely person. Used to be on my Twitch team. And yep, I've got it ready. So let's get the stream up. Wahaha. Okay, guys, I will see you tomorrow and we'll carry on with what we were doing today, tomorrow. Thanks for hanging out and for all your awesome ideas, chat, and hanging out and being awesome. You're the best. Take care. Bye-bye.